And it's also wonderful to hear people talk sanely to each other.
You have something amazing going with this show because you're there and you're educating us.
Sure. But your platform gives us an opportunity to really let our guard down. And I've never told anybody in public about that experience with my dad. And on your platform, I don't know why I did that, because it's so comfortable and we're talking about things that matter.
I mean, yes, pain is inevitable. I mean, there's a reason we have these sensors in our body. I mean, they're warning signs. In other words, something hurts. Obviously, something is amiss.
She told me her story again about her and her dad, but she also said, by the way, my father passed away. She's an only child. She didn't have any family. And she asked me to walk her down the aisle. That's the part that changed.
It's just that cruel moment of when you realize there is no hope. That tears at me, but it doesn't tear at me anymore because there was hope. I hung on just long enough to come out the other side. And here I am. Look at me, all beautiful and stuff.
This thing has drawn me out of myself and thereby drawn me into myself. But I learned a lot. And from you, I always learned something from you.
Continue to work as hard as you can, because by working, Avi, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief.
More underrated, we have Billy D. Williams, Italian men named Skippy, or Unicycle.
I'm sorry, Italian men named Skippy. Put me away, Avi.
Archie Bunker, the mountain climber. Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor, or Don Corleone, the computer repair person.
It's clearly an issue with the hard drive.
I'm going to go Don Corleone.
Where I went around, I visited all the adults first in the cancer, Stony Brook University Cancer Center, and then I visited the children. And I would say the adults were at least as enthused and joyful to see Santa. And
you compete with yourself. The Joe Reed, especially working with him, taking pictures in the magazine, helping me to shape my body and educate my mind.
There are those of us who like to venture to the unexplored, to see the beauty in the strange and unknown. Those of us who go out there with a sense of wonder. It's the magic of risking everything for a dream that nobody sees but you.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the shadow of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid. God, it matters not how straight the gate, how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Let me tell you about a voice. The one that whispers. It tells me what's right and what's not, when to leave and where to go. It's not Shakespeare. It does not speak in memorable lines. My inner voice always gives it to me straight. Tells me who my real friends are. When to say yes, when to say no. Whether the person sitting next to me is the one I'll be spending the rest of my life with.
You already know that dedication, hard work, and perseverance gives positive results.
Let your instincts guide you.
What would you do if you weren't an actor? If you didn't make it as an actor, what would you do? I have no idea. I would act somewhere. because I'll die if I don't.
I had a blast. I want to dance with somebody.
There we go.
I'll do it.
I do too right now, guys and gals. And you know,
but I was going, Tom, Don, I'm a true fan. Yo, I never watched all of your movies through, Tom, because they scared the crap out of me. Love y'all, man.
Pleasure. Great to meet you. Great to meet you too, Trent.
Yeah, Avi, you did a great job.
Hi, I'm Rick Barry, a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame and one of the NBA's top 50 players. And I'm really excited to tell you about my new relationship in the broadcasting world with the new network.
It's TKN, and a young man named Avi Klein has poured his blood, sweat, and tears into creating this new network and assembling an amazing group of individuals to co-host shows with him.
Legends from every walk of life who are just bringing their knowledge and their experience and their wisdom, and this is amazing. I feel like this is a cosmic convergence of what is most important to him, and he's such a stand-up guy.
Here, but with a very warm heart for Avi and thanking him for all the work he's put into creating the new network. For me, I have just a teeny part of this in terms of having a program that's based on storytelling, where I get to share some of my stories with you.
I can't even imagine how hard Avi Klein worked. He tells me he gets 4 hours of sleep a day, and I actually believe that, because Avi is so passionate, he works so hard.
There is nothing that was on TV tonight that even remotely rivals what we did on this broadcast.
I am so grateful for our friendship. And you know what? You appreciate things in people that make such a difference. You make each of us feel like we're more than we know how to even thank you. Anyway.
It's very respectful, and he really connects with the artists and his audiences. And I felt like this guy's on to something, and I'm proud to be a part of this with him.
And I really thank your support. I lost my father, and you were the first person to support me in all that, and I thank you so much for that.
Avi, congratulations. I don't know anybody that can talk as much as you. Seriously, I thought I could talk. You are unreal. But you do it with class, understanding, professionalism. You're simply amazing. I told you that when I first met you, and you ran off my autobiography. It basically was a book. It was simply fantastic. And to think that you do that every show.
The greatest wealth is when you can share it with someone. You can share your victories, you can share your failure, you can express your deepest feelings, but the greatest wealth is to be able to say that I have a friend. And I feel an unbelievable level of wealth. And a lot of that is because I have somebody like you.
Last name Ventura, first name Jesse.
I'll tell you this, Avi, you definitely do your homework.
John Amos.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
I hope you're getting paid a lot. That was the greatest intro I think I've ever had.
So I'm highly impressed. So I would give this a very high A.
Well, thank you very much. I can't think of a better way to begin the new year than with you.
Avi, always great to hear your voice, kid, and to hear your intros. You're amazing.
Last name Davidson, first name Tommy.
Nice. I think that's the best intro I've ever had.
Did you have a nice time tonight in the green room?
I had a great time. I can't tell you how refreshing it is that somebody knows what they're doing.
Avi is a poet, but he doesn't know it, but his feet show it.
You're unbelievable. Well, you're the best I've seen. You're the Michael Jordan or LeBron James, whoever you want to make the GOAT.
Winning it all, competitive juices, are they all there, Joe?
Man, the competitive juices don't stop.
Are you here to win the whole darn tournament?
I don't play. I just win.
You're chomping at the bit to get in this thing.
Oh yeah, man. I've been telling you, brother. You brought up some names to me, and I was like, I can't wait. I hope they don't see me because it's gonna be on like a steaming pot of neck bones, baby. And I'm not playing.
Are you here to win the entire thing, my friend?
I'll just say this, Avi. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
But are you here to win the entire celebrity tournament when it's all said and done?
I saw a very familiar face in Mike Rotundo, better known as IRS, and he said that he was here for the winner chicken dinner, and I want to take away that chicken dinner. So yes, I want to win this whole shebang.
First name Joe Smith. Welcome, my friend.
Oh my God, Avi! Where did you get all of that from? Oh my God!
And pals, it is Saturday night. I am Avi Klein. I cannot wait to introduce these three amazing participants. I know that you guys have no clue who they are because they're mystery participants, but they will be mystery no more. The mystery will be history as we greet them all. Credible legends, and what they do with their platform, what they do with their celebrity speaks to me wholeheartely. Guys, I won't be long-winded. I can't stand those people who say they're not going to be long-winded and then they proceed to be long-winded. But I promise I won't be long-winded. What I do want to say is this, though. When I started writing professionally, the first person I wrote for was Carl Reiner. That's Rob Reiner's father, who's no longer here. And Carl Reiner told me, thanks to Richard Donner, who got me in the door, Carl Reiner told me, we had a long philosophical conversation that always stuck with me that became the genesis of this show. He said, don't try to change an industry that doesn't want to be changed, but help them re-examine what it stands for. And I really hope that that's what we've done here. 3 million views. We started at the ground floor. We've now got a national sponsor. We've now got 2 studios who essentially love what we're doing and want to pick this show up. Guys, it doesn't mean that there's a guarantee and that the focal point should be some sort of maybe pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you're seeking. But if you don't have a purpose, find one. And if you don't have one because you don't want to find one, it's okay. Just make sure that whatever you do. That's the word, do. In this tournament, guys, that we call a sport of the mind, where strangers leave as friends, we remind people that we can have a positive time. We can have a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. But I guarantee you guys and gals and pals, we're also going to learn from each other, and that is truly what it is all about. So, with that being said, industrial-sized air conditioners at your favorite B&B in Alaska would be rendered obsolete after witnessing that intro because we're all fired up. That much is a fact. You've experienced luminary after luminary. Enter this virtual arena. Indeed, this tournament is quite stacked. I dub this vision of mine edutainment because I place emphasis on entertainment and education because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation, and this format is anything but the same old, so I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all, a place where competitors convey their level of admiration while we marvel at the information, passion, and perspiration when observing this wide array of talent that make up the population of strong-minded thinkers that enlighten us, which is why I subscribe to conversation, because listening and applying is how we get to our destination. We're so much closer than we are apart, much to the chagrin of the media, which is why this show offers a demonstration of what's right about us as a society. So for the new viewers out there who have a fascination, sit back as I enjoy to put a cap on this verbal dissertation. Let's sit back and realize what we've witnessed here in this tournament, oh so grand, where 142 Hall of Famers and award winners and nominees own this land as we discover and rediscover our humanity through open dialogue and expand. So be prepared to give a hand to participants that are about to work their sweat gland, all the while our attention they command. It's my honor to present these wonderful men and women who don't see themselves as merely a luminary. It's a pleasure telling their life story biographically while condensing it with rhymes and a melody. With 15 grand in a 5-day, 5-night first-class trip to Greece on the line, one can't forget about the pride and the prize. So with that, let's all rise and reprise our roles as educational voyeurs that never chastise or agonize, but rather we revel in our beautiful reality without needing a disguise, because here on this network, we're allergic to lies. The bard Mr. Shakespeare once said, it's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but it's in ourselves. So if you love something, don't hate others that do, because doing is the sweet nectar that's most rewarding. Take a moment to breathe. Admire your desire to aspire, because if you don't, life will be but a blur. Of this, I'm sure. So never hate the flower for starting out as a seed, because long distance running is essential. It's not a stampede, so don't run anyone over on your way to the top. Focus on yourself, but don't forget to cheerlead and root for your loved ones and lift people up, because right now, this human fortune cookie hopes that we've all agreed that positivity is something we can never concede. So with that, let's bring in our first participant right about now. It'll be my honor to do so. Guys and gals and pals, our first participant is originally from Pinch Ridge, West Virginia, and thus has family that's been living there since 1756, which makes one go, whoa. His roots run deep, and he visits quite often, but years before, he was fawning over Phyllis on your favorite show. This man developed an artistic and creative toolbox with quite the MO, and his talents he'd always bestow. As a West Virginian, he was a rare specimen when he moved to LA in 1980, but he had plans. Hey, he'd get defensive about where he'd come from, but last I checked, Jerry West was from there, so take that, Laker fans. He was 11 years old when he moved away. It was rough, but the lyrics in John Denver's song, Country Roads, always took him back to a place where he could reminisce. How about this for a purpose? He started taking acting lessons from the legendary Peggy Fury, something impossible to dismiss, as I would definitely be a kid in a candy store in eternal bliss. She was the #1 teacher as far as reputation and demand. She came from the actor's studio where she was Lee Strasberg's right hand. She came from the world of Marlon Brando, James Dean, and that whole crowd. I don't mind saying the following aloud. If I were in that class, I'd be, guys and gals, spraying the number 9 on my cloud. His girlfriend at the time was Susan Day from the Partridge Family. Her agents were the best in town, so he took that class at the behest of the William Morris Agency. His classmates included Eric Stoltz, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, Nick Cage, and earlier Sean Penn, just to name a few. Needless to say, it was an incredibly positive and competitive arena around such a crew. His first leading role, guys and gals, that helped elevate him in the world of film and TV and cinema was that of Officer Joe Vickers in the '89 cult classic Psycho Cop. His training paid off as I continue this rhyme because the audition piece was True West. If you don't read it, that would be quite the crime, as our participant studied the script, so he didn't have to look at that page even one time. Years later, he gets a call from one of Hollywood's great comedy casting director, Allison Jones. No problem. Put on some headphones, listen to some Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, because she wanted him to audition at 5 p.m. He had plenty of time. No need to create multiplicity like Michael Keaton did with a clone. He'd make the meeting. What could stop him? Mistaken time zones? A case of kidney stones? No. He failed to realize it was Halloween, so he was 15 minutes late, not giving in to the perspiration. He sprinted, wiped the sweat off his brow, and nailed the audition. He provided many, many others with endless glee, as fans would howl with laughter like a Richard Pryor lovable banshee. His iconic role on one of the most beloved shows of all time was as memorable as The First Kiss. I'm speaking of his legendary portrayal of Bob Vance in The Office. So give it up to a man that has the presence of Ben-Hur. Scream and rejoice at his arrival. No need for a murmur. His knowledge is vast and is as valuable as a coat made out of fur. So give it for a kind, humble, intelligent human being. First name Robert, last name Shafer. Welcome, my friend, to the celebrity tournament.
Man, thank you for that welcome.
You deserve it. You deserve every bit of it, man. Made a lot of people smile over the years, Robert.
Well, it's an honor to be able to do that. I got to tell you, that's just luck.
You're being modest. You're being very modest, my friend. Well, I'll tell you this, my friend. Before I ask you the question and reveal to our many viewers and the guys, thank you again for being 3 million strong. Right now, guys, you are looking at the celebrity tournament. There's nothing like this. If you don't have goosebumps, God Almighty, you're not human, because this thing is packed. It's Robert. It's not merely about the celebrities. It's about what they do. People like you and people like the two gentlemen we have backstage are doing so much with their celebrity. I love the humanity part of it. You and I run in the same circles, my friend, in an industry that maybe sometimes could be perceived as superficial or very careless and carefree. You, my friend, respect the craft. That speaks to me. But you're also somebody that is able to put a smile on people's faces. And I think you have that personality that welcomes people into that studio, into that theater, instead of ushering them out, because you know who you are, Robert.
Well, you have to know who you are to do what I do, or what I used to do. And so, there's less ego in this than people would think.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to talk to you about our topics momentarily on screen. We'll talk about some other aspects of your career, as well as our two gentlemen as well. If you guys are backstage, just hit the unmute button if you've muted. I'm about to bring you in. Robert, I got to ask you the question. It'd be kind of cool We got 15 grand, 5-day, 5-night trip to Greece for the person who wins this entire tournament. Would you like to be that one?
It was an honor just to be nominated.
Thank you again, man, because it's going to be great to get to know you through this medium. I'll put you backstage and bring in our next participants, and then we'll be off to the races.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Robert Shafer, guys and gals. Thank you. Give it up for Mr. Shafer, carving out his time for a really an awesome event. This isn't a podcast, guys. It's an event that allows us to really get to know the person behind the persona. So with that being said, let's bring in our second participant right about now, guys and gals and pals. Our next participant, guys and gals and pals, lived in Nebraska until the age of 3. That's where the path to football and competitive sports started. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes older siblings can make you howl and scream like a scene out of Psycho starring Janet Leigh. He started getting beat up by his older brothers even when they were in high school. But toughness can be attained even when we're youngins and barely know how to drool. It taught him to be tough, and it taught him that he had to earn stuff in an impromptu world that comes at you off the cuff. A few years later, he and his mom moved to California in a little oasis called Leamet Park. This was years before he wowed us with his excellence on the gridiron, as fierce as a shark and as smooth as Tony Stark. His legion of fans were like kids in a candy store enjoying a bar named Clark. His dad was working at a company called Norfolk Aviation, where he'd bring computers like the Apple II, which was as massive as a whale's tail. Our participant became the official game tester, and he tested out games like Carmen Sandiego and the Oregon Trail. As a freshman at Omaha North, Coach Herman Colvin asked him to play for the varsity, backing up running back Clinton Child. The very notion might make you wish you were exiled, as he was the child. But it's no surprise, as years later, he compiled a tremendous resume while also wowing us with his supreme intellect that could rival that of Oscar Wilde. He was heavily recruited, guys and gals, after his junior year and was also armed with a GPA of 3.7. USC, Alabama, Miami, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Auburn, Notre Dame, Michigan. Who wouldn't fanboy and feel like they were in heaven? They all called his name and wanted him there, but Nebraska, it was playing with Tommy Frazier and Coach Holtz when he won 2 national championships. And as these rhymes leave these lips, there are more moments to eclipse, stories and memories that can make some great full feature-length scripts. And yet I continue to break this down chronologically and biographically like an efficient gator in the Everglades. Let me bring up his many accolades. In high school, he was the 1995 World Herald Nebraska High School Male Athlete of the Year. In college, he ranked second nationally in rushing with 156.4 yards per game in 1997. He was a member of 2 Nebraska national championship teams in 95 and 97. He was first team All Big 8 in 1995, first team All Big 12 in 97. While in Nebraska, he had a monster senior year. He ran for 1,877 yards off of 278 carries for 22 touchdowns and a 6 yards per clip rate. In the NFL, he was one of the all-time greats. He's 4-time Pro Bowler from 2001 to 2004. He was an All-Pro second team in 2001. He was the NFC Offensive Player of the Year in 2003. He was inducted into the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame in 2014. He is the all-time rushing leader for the Green Bay Packers with an NFL Hall of Fame resume. He went on a 5-year stretch of 1,000-yard seasons and added 48 touchdowns on the ground, cementing himself as one of the greatest to lace it up for the Packers. That 2003 1,800-plus yard rushing season was a sight to be seen. He could outrun anyone, even a mob hunting down good old Mr. Bean, Arnold chasing down some protein, or Johnny Depp fleeing the scene due to Amber Heard's hygiene. So put your hands together and welcome a kind, intelligent human being. First name Ahman, last name Green. Welcome to the celebrity tournament, my friend.
Hey, what's up, AV? Hey, great. I've been watching the videos or the lead-in and wondering why people are like giving you kudos on your introduction, but I see why now, man. Wow. That was probably that was definitely, I agree with everybody else. That was definitely the best introduction I've had for any show that I've been on. So I appreciate you very much for that, for doing that. That was awesome.
Friend. But, you know, I was, thank you, my friend. But, you know, I got to say, the intros write themselves when I write them, and I'll tell you why. When I write these intros for you guys, it's easy to do, not just because of your resume. It's vast, but it's what you guys do with your time. I think that's where fans don't understand what gentlemen like you and Robert and our next gentleman do with their time. You carve out time for those that don't have a voice. Am I right?
Yes, all the time. Yeah, and somebody like yourself, somebody I rarely know, reached out to me about a month ago about coming on this show. And I was like, yeah, I want to tell my story. I say a lot of it for me is I didn't talk much as a kid. I let my actions do the speaking, as you read off all what I did athletically. And so that was my way to show myself and who I am to people. You know, I wasn't going to jibber jabber hey, I like this, I like that. I was going to just show you how good I was at playing a sport and have fun that way with my friends in the neighborhood and with my family, with my brothers and my sister, and my mom and dad. So that was me. So now I'm kind of in your neck of the woods. I host a couple podcasts and talk shows. So now I'm talking more. So I'm now out of that little shy kid 10-year-old that was all about playing baseball, playing Tecmo Bowl, playing football, getting good grades and staying out of trouble.
Well, you're a class act.
Me.
You're a class act, and I implore
Thank
people.
you.
I'm going to talk about what you're doing and Robert and our next gentleman and what he's doing as well on air, so people could follow you guys. But no, really, you're an eloquent person. You traveled a lot when you were a child, also with your mom, so very well traveled. You were someone that had the insight enough to understand, even at a young age. You were so mature, and you even asked your dad, "Hey, I don't know if I'm ready for varsity. They want me. They want me for varsity." You were a freshman, so you always had that level of maturity to be able to tackle each and every moment in your life with a lot of great thought. And you thought before you actually, I guess, took action, and I respect that.
Yeah. It was my brother, my oldest brother, Jerry, who was a police officer in Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska for 24 years.
Yeah.
And we just got back from California. He took me to the North-South Shrine game, which was the all-star game in Nebraska, high school all-star game for all the high school seniors in Nebraska. And after this game, they're going to college. So he was like, "Hey, you want to go see this game?" I said, "Yeah." I go down there, and I'm watching the guys warm up. And a couple of future teammates of mine, one of them was Tony Veland, was on the field warming up. And I'm looking at the program, and I look on the program. I'm like, all right, there's number 10. It's like, that's a quarterback? And it has his size and weight. He's 6'1", and he's 210 at the time.
You were about 140 or something, right?
Yeah, I was like 145 pounds soaking wet.
Right.
Coming from California. I'm like, and this is high school seniors? Or this is a high school football player that this coach just asked me to play high school ball.
It says a lot about your talent. Yeah, it says a lot
as a
about it. Not just
varsity
talent,
player.
Yeah,
right.
But wouldn't you agree that a coach would also, he wouldn't just want to instill you into that lineup and have you have, I guess, that same experience as seniors did if he just saw talent. I emphasize the word just. He saw your maturity level. He must have seen it, because to put a freshman in that position, they have to be as strong mentally as they are physically.
100%. And I think he knew that from my two older brothers who played high school football in Omaha, both at Omaha Central, which I eventually transferred to later on in my high school career. I started at Omaha North and then transferred to Central. But knowing of them and their background too, I think that was it. And he met my dad too, and it was my stepdad. But then my dad, David Green, who also was a phenomenal athlete. That's where I got my genetics from. He knew the bloodline and of the athletes. So my uncle, my dad was an all-state sprinter in Nebraska, and then his brother would end up going to Nebraska and playing running back there. So it was in our bloodline, So it was. I
like that
I say I'm kind of destined to get where I was going to where I
but
went.
you definitely rolled up your sleeves and worked hard, my friend. Hey, I'll ask you the magic
indeed.
question. In this tournament, we got Willem Dafoe, John Goodman, Antonio Banderas. We've got Sugar Ray Leonard. We've got Ahman Green. We got Robert Shafer. We got them all. Are you here to win this entire tournament, my friend?
I love those guys to death as great actors, but yes, I'm here to win. I'm very competitive, and for the questions that you got, I love the questions, so I can't wait to get my answer out there to everybody.
I appreciate that, man. You are quite the intelligent, humble human being. I'm very happy to be here around you and Robert and our next participant, so I'll put you backstage for a moment and bring you right back.
All right.
Ahman Green, guys and gals, what an intelligent, thoughtful person. And those are third participants. Sometimes when you get a vibe, I don't like it when people say that they know people because they're from a region. I'm not going to say I could read people because I'm from New York, but I could read people. And when this next gentleman popped in, you could tell he's got a great smile, a positive attitude. I really respect his body of work, but I could tell that the person behind the resume is even that more impressive. So guys and gals and pals, our third participant is as humble as they come, but he should hear what he has done. He helped push mixed martial arts to mainstream status. He was one of the first high-level wrestlers to dive into mixed martial arts. He was a 3-time NCAA Division I All-American wrestler, a 3-time Olympic team alternate before transitioning into mixed martial arts. So guys and gals and pals, with that, he was born in Everett, Washington to Sharon and Edward as he grew up in Linwood. There were some rules during his childhood, as his mom didn't allow him to hang out with his buddies at the Alderwood Mall, but all was good. She preferred that he have his friends over to their house, a place that was theirs. There, they organized an impromptu and highly spirited foosball tournaments downstairs. The other no-no, boxing. What led to that snub? Well, that decree came down the day his mom discovered her son had been sneaking off to the Linwood Elks Club. They boxed a lot there. Funny to think now, because in the UFC, he became as big as Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, or Joe Montana. He was paying his dues and owning his craft, while many his age were simply being waited to be fitted by Santa. His PE teacher and wrestling coach at Alderwood Junior High was a man named John Case Beer. He imparted his passion for the sport to the eager youngster who we soon would all cheer. To this day, our third participant still remembers phrases that he used, like, when in doubt, get out. He went to Linwood High School, where he won a state wrestling championship at 168 pounds as a senior in 1981. He briefly attended Washington State University, but left to spend 6 years in the Army. We salute him and thank him so much for his service for our country. Then it was on to Oklahoma State University, where he was a 3-time All-American and later a 3-time U.S. Olympic team alternate. He was always fit and had true grit, like those from a bygone era that came at you despite getting hit. As an early competitor in Ultimate Fighting, one should know that back then, it was a sport just getting started, which meant it was a sport still looking for heroes, and he was one of the first. The fans wanted more and more as they couldn't quench their thirst. He began in 97 and won his first heavyweight title that same year. He beat world champions like Mark Coleman, Tim Silva, Vitor Belfort, Chuck Liddell, and Tito Ortiz. Many more would end up losing to this great, wondering, geez, this man can take me out and break my knees, but he's an honorable fighter, and this won't be a breeze. You might as well be Steve Urkel when you went to war with him asking for some cheese. He even defeated former boxing champ James Toney and won an entire tournament in UFC 13. 13? That's kind of spooky. Indeed, rather than fight him, many would prefer ripping out their own spleen. It's fun writing words with spleen, by the way. That's a side note. I want to honor him by reminding the masses that hard work makes all the grade. So let me bring up his many accolades. He is a high school state champion, a 3-time NCAA All-American, an international Greco-Roman competitor, an incredible 6-time UFC world champion. He was an Olympic team alternate in 88, 80, 92, 96, and a semifinalist at the Olympic trials in 2000. He was the only competitor, to hold titles in both the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions. He became the 4th fighter inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame in 2006. He was inducted into the Oklahoma State College of Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame in 2016. As an actor, he's appeared in the hit films The Expendables, The Expendables 2, The Expendables 3, as well as on television. He's a part of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. There is nothing that he can't do, and doing is the first step when it comes to winning in life with zero strife. It doesn't happen by wishing upon a star while gobbling up some candy or daydreaming about cars, money, or a woman named Sandy or Mandy, like my ex. It's by grabbing your tools and making them handy. So put your hands together for one of the all-time greats, a classy, honorable human being. Last name Couture, first name Randy. Welcome to the celebrity tournament, my friend.
Avi, oh my gosh. Holy cow, you outdone yourself. That was amazing. I don't think I've ever heard that put together quite like that.
Well, you deserve to hear it, my friend, because, again, many people in our circles are kind of always acknowledging the fact that you're just a great guy to be around. You really have a way about you. I like the fact that, with your resume, you are a Mount Rushmore. You are Mount Rushmore when it comes to the UFC. But when it comes to what you prioritize, when it comes to all things values and family and getting things done right, being straightforward, but also being able to use your celebrity to, once again, champion those without a voice, that's something that means a lot to you, right, Randy?
Absolutely. Certainly since 9/11 and the war on terror, many of my brothers in uniform have struggled and come back thinking they left the front line in one of those countries and come back to our country and definitely struggled to make ends meet, to get where they needed to be, to struggle with the things they've seen and done as soldiers. So, and that's something near and dear to my heart and a big part of my journey that led me down this road. So finding a way to give back to that community has been a very big part of my life.
Amen to what you do, man. And that's thank you again for serving our country. It means the world. And yeah, thank you for always giving them a voice, because when I used to teach history, true story, I wasn't allowed to teach the real history. And the reason why was because when I would talk about veterans, people would still somehow talk with such vile in their voice when they were talking about Vietnam veterans. And that bothers me, because they fought for this country. They came back to this country. They were spit on. They were maybe abandoned by government, but they were also abandoned by people that blame them for what was happening, despite the fact that we have 5 presidents who try to figure out what was going on over there. So for you to be able to give veterans their own voice and a sense of belonging and importance, that personally speaks a lot to me. So once again, thank you.
I appreciate you saying that. My uncle was in Vietnam. He was on the USS Kitty Hawk. in the Navy. My father was a CB in the Navy as well during Guantanamo, during the Bay of Pigs. So
sure.
My uncle was Arthur Griggs, drove General MacArthur in the World War II theater.
Wow.
So it was definitely in my family as well. So it's a part.
Wow.
My sister was Army, I was Army.
Yeah.
Definitely part of my heritage.
Incredible, yeah. Bay of Pig 61. My friend, a lot of people here in this tournament. You don't take a backseat to anybody. 142 Hall of Famers and award winners are in this sport of the mind we call the celebrity tournament. Are you here to win all, my friend?
I am here to win. That's the only way to do it.
There you go. I love it. Guys, Mr. Randy Couture, Mr. Ahman Green, let me bring him up right now. Mr. Robert Shafer. Here we guys go. We are ready to roll. Thank you guys again for being here tonight as we rock and roll with topic number 1. I will kick topic number 1 over to Robert Shafer. And it'll be the same topic for Randy and Ahman. So they have the same topic. We'll see where the other person goes. Rebuttals. Are they optional? Of course, they're optional. You don't have to do it. But if you want to rebut someone while they're speaking, all you got to do is lift the index finger up. I'll pop in and make it official. Robert, I will set up topic number 1 and question number 1 for our audience. Take your time as long as you want. Robert, if you could pick one moment in your career that could inspire a deceased historical figure during a downtime in their life, which career moment of yours would you select and why? Which deceased historical figure would you be hoping to inspire and why? Whenever you are ready to go, my friend, the floor is yours.
Okay, this is a great question. It's, as you say, thought-provoking. I was thinking about it a lot. There's not really one moment in my career. I mean, the whole thing is full of triumph and tragedy. I mean, you get a little bit of both. But if I had to pick one moment, I was doing a theater, and it was dress rehearsal, and I was doing this big speech in front of my dead father. The director yells at me from the top row in the balcony. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm talking to my dad. What do you think I'm doing?" And he goes, "He's in heaven. You talk to him up there." And the minute I did this whole thing just sort of washed through me in it. And I realized, look to the heavens, man. Always look to the heavens and listen. So that would be the moment and the historical figure that I would choose to speak with, because I'm assuming this is sort of a time travel deal. And of course, the rule of time travel is that you can't change the past. You know, otherwise I'd go to the Ford Theater and tell Mr. Lincoln, "You don't want to come see this show tonight." You know what I mean? And that changes history. So I'm assuming that I can't do that, but I would still pick. You know, if I could pick anyone, I would pick my dad. But since a historical figure, I'm going to go with George Washington, because he was always my hero. I was a kid growing up in West Virginia in the hills, and it always amazed me that he surveyed this land that I was living on. And he was a brave guy. And without him, we're not having this conversation. We're free to talk about what we like to talk about because of George Washington, because he was one tough SOB. He could have quit anytime. He was facing a machine, the world's greatest army, and they couldn't make him quit, even though he was losing engagement after engagement. So that's who I would want to hang out with. I don't know how I would be able to inspire him, but I would just say, never quit, look to the heavens. And, well, here we are. And I got to say, being in the room with these two guys, well, I want them both on my team, okay? Both of them are in the foxhole with me, and Avi, you can come along too.
Oh, there you go. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and later on, Robert will tell us what titles he designates for us. That'll be kind of fun as well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, George Washington, I mean, gosh, you know, people are talking about this great land of ours, which has a rich history. When people are complaining about the youth of America, would you guys agree on this before I kick it over to Randy for the same topic and then Ahman? You guys can jump in if you'd like. I equate our youth and their angst and their defensiveness and their lack of understanding what a foundation is. I equate that to the age of our country, because we're kind of like a teenage boy right now. In the 50s, if you think about how everything was romanticized, we were the equivalent of a 10-year-old kid, a Leave It to Beaver child, right? There was a lot of innocence that was being spoken about, and certainly there was. But right now, we're that teenage kid that doesn't want to listen, that thinks they know it all. Is that kind of what we're seeing? I know it's a generalization, but across the board with this generation, the younger generation, is that kind of what you guys are seeing in different words, maybe, perhaps?
Well, sure. It's, do whatever you want, be whoever you want to be. There needs to be some shame in public life. I mean, people, it's not do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule is not being lived by or applied. It's do unto others for social media hits, or, these guys go around and prank people with their video cameras. Come on. I mean, I don't think they do that to Randy Couture, but I'd like to see that actually. Somebody prank Randy Couture. That would be something.
Yeah. And to anyone out there, disclaimer: please don't do that. Ahman, please.
Yeah, no, I agree with Robert. I think the generation with technology that's going on, we have phones, we have laptops. They can go and search information on their own,
right?
But they don't get the full context of a definition of seeing a video or reading a word and then using it for themselves to make themselves feel like they are better than somebody else. You got to understand this context behind that. You think of somebody that like has ego and they out there trying to show up somebody, in a, easy reference for us. I'll say out there, like in our sports world, right? You got a guy, no matter the sport, guy or girl, and no matter sport, they do what they're supposed to do, right? They scored a touchdown, they kick the goal, they hit the home run, they get the pin on the mat in a wrestling match, and just get up, shake the person's hand, say good job, and move on. But we got kids today that want to, bring it on me. They want to celebrate. They want to do this dance. They want to have this choreography going on when it's like, no, you just won the match. You did what you're supposed to do. Now get your butt off the mat and let's go. That's it. Because I remember my dad.
A lot of style over substance, sure. Randy?
Yeah, it's like style points out there where for me in my head, I could hear my dad or my older brother talking to me, your job, and then get off the field. That's all you need to give the ball to the referee. Help your teammates up. Even the guy tackling you, help him up and tell him, hey, that was a nice hit. I'm gonna get you next play type of mentality, because it's you never know when the next play is going to happen where you're gonna get your world rocked. You gotta go out there and just play ball, play the game.
Totally on the same page with you, my friend. Randy, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a unique time in human history right now. We're never more connected than we've ever been in the history of man.
Yeah.
And in that statement, with this digital world, we're never more disconnected too. Because why? Everybody's right here on this thing instead of doing this, talking to each other. Everybody wants to know why public customer service has gone to hell in a handbasket, because you can't put your phone down long enough to order your coffee. Come on, man. It's about human contact. We all need human contact. As an infant, we need that human contact and that love, that connection to flourish, to be where we need to be. And I think that's the problem with this digital world and this current generation right now.
I'm just impressed that you have, Randy, you've reached some customer service. I have no customer service when I try contacting them. And if I do contact them, I like how some of them, they ask me, where are you from? I say originally New York. All of a sudden their names are Tony. All of a sudden their names are Alfredo. I don't know, some weird name like that. But man, oh man, you're so right, man. We're so disconnected because when I used to teach history before I became a screenwriter, I remember the early days of the BlackBerry. A couple of kids were texting, and I also doubled as a basketball coach. So they're texting there while they're sitting down, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" They're like, "We're talking." I'm like, "No, you're texting." The lingo. I'm such a believer of language. Like, if the language doesn't change and if it's false, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. I remember walking into my classroom and I wrote down Frederick Douglass's name, and my AP, my assistant principal, true story, walks in the room and says, "Hey, Avi, you actually misspelled Douglass's last name. You put 2 S's. I'm like, "It has 2 S's. That's how he spelled his last name." My assistant principal didn't know this. I knew we were in trouble. So like right now, our next wave of educators are educating our next wave of students. And that's a scary proposition, I think, where we are right now. It is scary. God almighty.
Very true. Very true.
Guys, Robert gave us, again, where he would go in topic number 1, and I like that. Again, Randy and Ahman are going to go anywhere they want as well. Robert, of course, I talked about language. I wish people in Hollywood understood that there are different dialects. There was a story about Robert Duvall. Jeremy London, my good friend, was in Gods and Generals with Robert Duvall. And he goes to a dialect coach, and he says, "I'm going to play Robert E. Lee. I need a Virginia accent. But the teacher looks at him and says, which one? There's about 13, 14, 15, I think 14 of them. That's how specific the dialect is. Now, whether you're, from the mountains or the Tidewater area of Virginia, there's so many. So you got to meet Duvall one night. You're at a nightclub. Jack Nicholson owned this club down in Silver Lake. And when you look around, Robert Duvall was on the dance floor doing the tango, which is awesome. I think he married like an Argentine girl. And he did a movie called Assassination Tango about a tango dancer. So he's killing it on the dance floor, people watching him. When he finishes dancing, he walks over to you, introduces himself. Hi, I'm Robert Duvall. You're like, yeah, Mr. Duvall, I know who you are. Can I get you a beer? You buy him a Heineken. You stand there and talk. And then you happen to know about a really obscure Duvall film called Tomorrow. So you guys are kind of hitting it off. You happen to study at Peggy Fury's class. You guys are talking. But later on, this story means a lot because, again, we go back to dialects. He had to have a particular dialect that was very specific. Is that the case?
Yes. Yes, he was. I mean, and I've been watching the other Civil War film, Gettysburg, lately. Martin Sheen plays Robert E. Lee in that, and making disastrous decisions at Gettysburg. And both those performances are just, we're talking about two greats right there. So, just to meet him, and he was so casual with me, hi, I'm Bobby. Hi, I'm Bobby Duvall.
Right.
Yes, I know who you are. It was, and this is something that I adopted from this point on. I always, actors I would work with, I would pick an obscure title, not the ones that people go
We're
up
used to hearing about. Yeah.
He knows I love the smell of napalm in the morning. He hears it all the time. But this movie Tomorrow, which I just recently watched again, it's better than I remembered. The performance is so powerful. These brothers come and take his son away from him, and when he's trying to fight him off, I mean, if you're not crying, you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. So he was probably impressed by that you brought that up. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because actors like, when people recognize how deep they've gotten into something, and he's in all the way.
Bill Paxton was that way too. I used to write for Bill Paxton, and I remember looking up at he invited me to a convention, and I'm not into them, but I said I want to tag along because he was going to give a Q&A, and I thought I wanted to hear what he has to say. So I'm sitting there, and he's really nice to the fans, but he was super nice to the fans that brought up some obscure references he hadn't heard of for years because it's part of the artist's body of work. Randy and Ahman, you guys know this. People could talk about the championships, but what about the stories that led to those championships and those victories? Mm-hmm. So it's really cool that you put that in perspective, Robert. I will kick it over now to Mr. Randy Couture. I will ask Mr. Randy Couture the same very question that I asked Robert. Randy, if you could pick one moment in your career that could inspire a deceased historical figure during a downtime in their life, which career moment would you select and why? And which deceased historical figure would you be hoping to inspire and why? The floor is yours whenever you're ready to go. Good, sir.
Well, like Robert, it's not about one moment in my career. It's kind of the duration of my career that I think this gentleman would appreciate and be inspired by. And like Robert, I picked the president, Teddy Roosevelt, a wrestler, a soldier, Rough Rider, and then president of this country and responsible for many of the national parks that we enjoy to this day. And I think being out in nature is something that I'm an outdoorsman and something that I appreciate greatly. And so having that man step up and secure a bunch of these places in our country as national parks is something that I was inspired by and really appreciate. I think coming from a single parent household, my mom raised three of us by herself with very little support. I could have used that as an excuse to make a lot of very piss poor decisions and ended up in a lot different place. Instead of those coaches stepping up and filling that void of a lack of a father, when I needed a kick in the butt, they were the guys that stepped up and did that. When I needed an arm around my shoulder and say, hey, a Dutch rub, it's going to be okay, they were the guys that did that. Coach Casebear, Coach McAvoy, Coach Winter, and on down the line, winning that state championship in 1981, setting those goals, telling my mom, hey, Mom, I want to be a state champion next year, my senior year. I need to quit this job. That means I can't pay for my gas and my car insurance. She stepped up and said, hey, I'll cover that stuff during wrestling season. That allowed me to draw that map and make that goal and get on that path, knocking down those daily and weekly things I believed I needed to get there, to win that state championship and see my hand get raised on the top of that podium. And once that first one happened, now I had that cookie cutter. I knew I could replicate that on down the line. I ended up, getting my girlfriend pregnant, let's be honest, and had a kid on the way. I was not going to be like my dad was. So I got married at 18 years old. I thought wrestling was done for me and joined the Army to support a family. And little did I know, in the peak of the Cold War, I'm a Cold War veteran. 5 million soldiers stationed in Central Europe. The combative sports were huge, especially for the Army. So I ended up back on a wrestling mat. Little did I know, the Inter-Service Championship qualified me for the Olympic trials. And so I was off and running again, chasing that Olympic dream. I know Teddy was a wrestler, and he was a very good wrestler. So I think that story would inspire Teddy Roosevelt, and he would get that story and understand the decisions I made to get down the road. And ultimately that wrestling led me to a college degree in foreign language and literature, writing poetry. The Man in the Arena, one of my favorites of all time. And he wrote that. So Teddy Roosevelt's the guy I would hope to inspire with my journey and where I've come.
I love that. And what an adventure he was. What a life he had, Teddy Roosevelt. He was a guy that loved life. There's no doubt about that. Man, you bring up a really interesting time during the Cold War version 2.0 in the 80s. But we had a small period of détente in the 70s. That didn't really last too much. But yeah, supposed to. But, a lot of people talk about how Reagan was very, very misled when he tried to come up with a program called Star Wars, because people said, economically speaking, and in terms of technology not being so advanced at the time, there was no way to put any sort of weapons in space. But what people don't know is that he actually lured the Soviets into having the same plan because they were competitive with one another, so much to the point where it's tit for tat. And he knew that the Soviets definitely didn't have enough economically, yet they pursued this. They invested in the notion of having a space program in the 80s. He knew that they would try to copycat that, but they had less funds. And of course, that bankrupted them. That was also one of the reasons why, economically speaking, they declined so rapidly from 83 to 87. So it was a masterful tactic by Reagan. People don't give him credit for that. So yeah, I mean, when you said that, immediately I'm like, wow, what an interesting period of time. And it's so cool to be able to, I guess like you did, thank you for educating us, to unpack these facts that people don't know about when it comes to some of the people that we're speaking of. But I also want to say this, speaking of unpacking, some might say you maybe never unpacked your bag when it came to Linwood, because you know your roots. You really paid back to where you came from, Randy. I mean, I think you don't have any trouble tracing your roots. And a good example of that is how you always give it back to John Casebeer, who was your coach at Alderwood Junior High School. And I brought up that quote, when in doubt, get out. But it's so interesting to think that that's where it started, because never would you have said in junior high or high school that this is what I'm going to do. Am I right?
That is absolutely correct. Coach Casebeer had these tag board signs up on the stage walls, all the escapes, all the takedowns, all the reversals.
Right.
And I started memorizing those as I was learning those, not knowing that I was inadvertently visualizing each one of those techniques, which became a skill set as you move into the higher levels of the sport that you absolutely need. And not till I made the national team in wrestling, was working with a sports psychologist, and he started explaining some of these terms and mental skills that I was going to need to compete at that level. And I'm going back to junior high, recognizing that I have been doing this since I was a 7th grader inadvertently. So it was really interesting. Coach Casebeer is still a great friend of mine. He's an amazing man. He taught me the passion for the sport that I love to this day, that in many ways probably saved my life.
And also, between us, I hope this doesn't get out anywhere, but I'm glad you didn't listen. I'm glad you snuck to that park to be able to kind of do some boxing back in the day. I'm glad you went there.
About that to this day. I should have just let you do it then and get it out of your system. Yeah. Robert Shannon came out of that boxing club at the and was an 84 Olympian and a medalist, and Robert and I are still friends. Robert also wrestled at Breyer Junior High School. I was at Alderwood Junior High School, rival schools. So I love boxing. I love football too. She said, you can play football, but I ain't letting you box.
Right. That was a compromise. But I wish, so Linwood Elks, what people should know is they had a really successful youth boxing program during that time, right, Randy?
They did. They had a great boxing program. I was a busboy in the Linwood Elks. That was one of my early jobs, clearing tables at your banquets and stuff like that. And I was the chow hound back there. The best part of that job was all the food I got to eat.
Oh, yes. Now you're talking. Yes, I would gladly take a beating if I had the ability to chow down as much as I want. So there you go. Guys, that's Mr. Randy Couture, Mr. Robert Shafer, being so very graceful to educate us the way that they do. And now, Mr. Ahman Green, I pose the same question to you before we move on to our final topic, our second. Ahman, if you could pick one moment in your career that could inspire a deceased historical figure during a downtime in their life, which career moment of yours would you select and why? And which deceased historical figure would you be hoping to inspire and why? The floor is yours whenever you're ready to go. Good, sir.
Oh man, this is a tough one for me, but I got a few moments, and I say a few moments. One, I haven't shared a whole lot because it's more personal to me. But it was something that happened to me before I even got, I say, known on the football field or the athletic arena. It was when I was a 2-year-old, and my mom and I, as you mentioned, Avi, in the description of me, we were traveling back and forth between California and Nebraska. And my mom, we stopped on, I say, going out there with my brother, my 2 older brothers and older sister. We had stopped in Arizona just for a pit stop, Greyhound pit stop, as usual. And my mom did notice that I was acting weird, like I was dehydrated, like I was coughing. It was something that tipped her off. And so we're somewhere in Arizona. I don't remember where in Arizona. I just know she said, my sister told me the story where she took me to the local hospital where we were near and had me checked into emergency. And the doctor, examined me, hit me with some IVs. I guess I was dehydrated. And then he came out from my room and told my mom, I don't know what tipped you off to get your son, your young 2-year-old son, into the hospital, but I'm glad you did it, because if you didn't, he probably would have died from dehydration. So I must have picked up some type of virus between Nebraska and Arizona on the Greyhound, and it fermented and it did all this thing, and obviously made me super dehydrated. And so when she told me that as a teenager, I think I was in college when she told me that story, and I was just like, wow, because then things clicked in my head that when I had a rough moment in my life, even as a young person, and you mentioned it, Avi, also in my description, how mature I was for my age, to ask my dad or talk to the football coach that wanted me to play varsity, and to tell him, look, I don't want to play yet. I like the contact, but physically I'm not ready to have that conversation with an adult. From a kid to an adult usually doesn't happen because of respect. You don't want to, disrespect an older person by talking to them. That was my generation. So, but I did it because I knew where I was prepared. But so coming out of that, what I had when I was 2, I think unknowingly built another frame of reference during that childhood. So by the time between 2-year-old to 8-year-old of mine, and then 8-year-old to 15, 14-year-old mine, I remember doing things where my mom and dad were like, you're a different kid. Or my brothers be like, you do things a little like, how'd you figure out to do that or say that to your teammates? Because I became a team captain back to Nebraska. So California, I grew up there, come back. And then I remember my first season in Little League football, we're playing for a team. I was a Bear, even though I was a Packer. I was a Bear first. And we were the North Omaha Boys Cub Bears. And we had this crosstown rival team named Kingswood. They were well coached. They always kicked everybody's butt. And that's all I heard about during this training camp was how bad we got beat last year. Oh, they beat us last year. Man, they had kids. They were this big and they were this fast and they could hit hard. Even they grew beards out kind of like me and Randy right now, and they drove cars to the game. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm 14 years old. I'm like, how can you're not even driving to a game as a kid, because if you are, that means you're too old to play against 14-year-olds. I say, so just think about that. So me coming from California and not realizing, from my frame of reference, it was nothing to me. Like, okay, this is just another game. We got to figure out how we're going to attack this team. They're big, they're fast. We're big and fast. We're smart, we're agile, but don't defeat yourself before you go into the competition. Don't put all the angst or all the say the winnings on them yet. Like, we got to play this game, right? So I got voted team captain, and from that game we ended up losing that game, but we lost in double overtime by 1 point. When my teammates thought we were going to get blown out by 20. And so my coach at the end of the game, we're in a circle. He's telling us what the week's going to be like. Okay, good game, guys, but we got practice tomorrow at this time. I raised my hand. I said, Coach, can I say something real quick? He said, yeah, Mike, get up here and talk. And I said to my teammates, I said, look, all I heard for 2.5 weeks was how good these guys were. How they were going to blow us out the water. They were going to put 40 points, 30 points on the board or whatever, that we weren't going to score points, that we won't be able to move the ball, that they were going to hurt us when they tackle us and all this. And we just lost this game in double overtime by 1 point. I say, so the way I'm programmed is that now I'm on a mission. And I said, Coach, what do we got to do to play that team again to win the championship? He said, basically, we got to go undefeated and play them at the end of the season to win the city championship. And I was like, okay. I said, well, I don't know about y'all. I said, but in my head, I'm 14, remember. I'm only 14. And I said this to my teammates. I said, look, in my head, I'm ready to go undefeated because we owe them. We owe them a punch in the gut, too. This was a punch in the gut game. Double overtime. We lost. It was hot. It was nasty. We played both sides pretty well, but we lost. And I don't like losing. We got 11 games to go. Let's go undefeated, and we see them in this championship game. And so I say in the long and short of it, my teammates, they took heed to it. We went 11-0, and we ended up beating that team in the championship game for the city championship, Little League City Championship, 42-13. I was middle linebacker. I think I had 2 touchdowns on offense running the ball. I had about 3 or 4 sacks in the backfield. And one play, I think I hit the running back so hard, he was mad at his lineman for not blocking me. But from that moment on, my brothers, they always told me then, you're built different. Because you're 14, you're talking like you're 35 to your teammates right now. You're saying things that a 14-year-old usually doesn't say. And for me, even growing up and hearing me telling the story now and then telling it a few times before this moment, I was like, well, I remember back that I almost died as a 2-year-old. And just thinking about that, when my mom told me that as a teenager, I was like, my body, my personality got changed because of that. But as a kid, I wasn't unaware of it because anything that came down my path, I never bucked at it. I never made complaints. If something was going bad for me, I figured it out and I accomplished it. If me and my mom and dad, we didn't have money for food or whatever, I knew mom and dad was going to figure something out for me and make it okay. They're at the end of the day. So even with sports, like with that team, I'm like, you know what? We're going to figure it out. So for the historical figure that could see that moment for me to inspire them would be a guy that, I'm going to go into the sports realm. I know Robert and Randy went to our presidents, but I'm gonna go in the sports area of a guy who I watched, and I know he has some tough up and down moments in his career. Was Walter Payton, and so one of his things was never die easy, and so if he had a down moment, and he see me as a young kid coming out of that whatever that virus was and surviving, but then inspiring my teammates as I go along in my life and other facets of my life, from football to baseball to school or whatever. I hope that could help inspire him. So that would be my that's my story, and that's a true story that's happened to me. That sure. Even to this day, it's just something that I always look back on when I'm having a tough day, and I think about that. And I'm like, okay, if I could do that, I know I could do this. I could get, or if I could do that, or I got through that, I could get through this next.
Yeah, for the young viewers who don't know this, who hear the name Walter Payton, first off, learn more about this man. He was an absolute legend. But he was diagnosed with PSC,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. It was like a rare liver disease. And then he had to battle bile duct cancer, which ended his chances of even getting a liver transplant. So the obstacles this man faced were absolutely incredible and dire, but he didn't look at that way. That wasn't his mindset.
He never looked negatively at it. Yep.
No. And that's why when people say, well, surrender yourself, and people don't want to buy into that, my question is why, if it's an option? Even if I'm a man of faith, but even if you're not a person of faith, what do you have to lose? You got nothing to lose. By sometimes surrendering yourself and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe there is something out there that can help me, not by wishing upon a star, but by at least having the right positive mental attitude. Because if you have that, maybe, just maybe, that could actually lend itself towards any sort of healing process. Because if you're a negative Nancy, you're not going to get anywhere. That's the rules of life, right? You're not going to get anywhere at all.
Make it way tougher on yourself.
I think so. I think that when you hear Walter Payton speak, he talks about something that many of us can relate to. How one day he'd wake up and he was so honest, and he said he felt like ending his life. He was honest about that. And then there were other days, where he said, that part of me still exists, and I talk to it. And he didn't say it in this very flowery, fancy schmancy way. He was being very honest when he described it, and I think it resonated with people. I remember it was a speech he gave. I saw it online. And the speech, I think, tried to prove a point that when you're feeling down, it's not as if, one day you're going to feel great and never feel the way that you did a day earlier. It's going to be a snowball effect if you allow it to. But if you know that there's going to be a bad day and you could talk to yourself and figure out the whys and know that you're not going to stay in that place for good, then there is hope. As long as you can have that conversation with yourself, you got to be able to talk to yourself. Like, be your own inner psychologist, if that makes any sense, I think. God knows the career path I took, I need to shrink. There's no doubt about that. You've seen some of the people I've dated, I definitely need to shrink. Guys, different show, maybe on our Patreon one day. And you know what? You had so much patience, Ahman. You had more patience than me. I don't have the patience. Maybe you guys do this. I don't have the patience to allow, and I'm looking at the instruction. If I'm doing sort of a TV dinner and I'm popping some food in a microwave and it says, let's sit for 2 minutes, I can't wait those full 2 minutes. I'll pop something in the microwave, and at 1 minute 57 seconds, I pull that sucker out. I don't know why. Why can't I wait an extra 3 seconds? Why? 157, 155, I pull that thing out. Do you guys do the same? Have you ever done the same?
No.
No.
No, I got patience. I can wait. I'll wait it out. Yep.
Okay, so never in your life, Robert Shafer, Randy Couture, honest answer. Have you ever been unable to wait the full length of the 2 minutes of something sitting in a microwave?
I've been accused of the microwave dude is supposed to do and go the whole time with that bag of popcorn that's popping in there and burning the popcorn. Like, no, you're supposed to listen to it, and when it slows down popping, you're supposed to pull it out. You don't have to wait that extra 14 seconds.
I see you're going the other way, waiting too long. Yeah. Waiting too long.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the reason why I divorced ex-wife number 7, but that's a different story again. Good stuff here, guys. We're learning. Glad that we're having a ton of fun as well. Guys, Ahman Green, Randy Couture, Robert Shafer, they hit topic number 1. I'm glad we're getting to know each other through the topics, and really thank these guys because they're awesome. And really, our studio that believes in this project now, thank you as well for understanding that we can have a good time. And it doesn't have to be what everything else is out there. It doesn't have to be short form. It could be a long form conversation. That's how we get to know each other. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think our viewers can appreciate the fact that they can relate to a Randy Couture, a Robert Shafer, an Ahman Green, because they're talking about things that matter. They're talking about things that are relatable. Think again about Ahman Green's level of patience. Well, you want to talk about this man's patience? How about his support system that believed in him? When he was deciding which college to go to, his dad and brother sat him down and they said, look, colleges are going to send you letters asking you questions where to go to school. Of course, they're going to have a football program, but is the program good? Are they average? Where are they located? From a school standpoint, do they have your major in computer science and computer technology? All of those things mattered, and it was important that you had a support system to remind you, right?
Yep, 100%. Yep. And what I'll add on something to that real quick. Quick story there. So reason why I ended up picking Nebraska, obviously it wasn't a pick. I had, like you mentioned, a lot of top schools after me for playing football, but I couldn't make a decision because it was just tough of those schools. And so it came down to this. So the night of the national title game, Nebraska versus Miami in Miami, 1995 Orange Bowl. Tom Osborne, the team is out there playing and they're going back and forth, but Nebraska this was their year. They turned it up a notch. Defense played well. Corey Schlesinger ripped off 2 runs. And after that last run, I say right before the first run, I got a phone call from my mom. I was at a friend's house watching a game, and she said, "Son, meet us at the hospital. Your stepdad just had a heart attack. He's okay. He's in recovery, but meet us at the hospital. We'll all meet up there and make sure he recovers okay." So I did. I busted to the hospital, got there. I'm sitting in, got to my stepdad's bedside, talked to him. He was feeling better, and then we had to sit out in the family room. And in the family room, of course, being we're in Omaha, Nebraska. Of course, they got the Orange Bowl game on TV. So I caught the fourth quarter of the game. And just as Corey Schlesinger goes in for his second touchdown of the second half, and my older sister Tasha, my brother Nikki, brother Jerry, we're all like cheering. These are Cornhuskers. They finally won the national title.
Sure.
First time since 1971 at that time. And at that moment, the switch flipped. This is where I need to be,
Wow.
Because if this happens, something like this with dad again, or with my mother or a family member, I don't have to get on a plane.
You wouldn't forgive yourself if you were right.
Yeah,
I don't want to speak for you, but you probably wouldn't, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just 50 miles from home now. So let me go to Nebraska. You know what? By the way, I could be another part of that team to win a national title. So that's how I came down
really
to my decision.
Man. That's really selfless of you, man. Yeah. No, family means a big deal to me, and that's really selfless, and that's awesome. That was what factored into your decision of going there, and that's a cool story that you shared. Guys, right now I want to play a quick 60-second video for you guys. It's really a memoriam to those who are not in this tournament anymore because they've passed. People who've been in this tournament who are no longer with us. Dear friends, of course, as well, behind the scenes, so to speak. So this is a 60-second video of those that we have lost. Trio of options for Gallagher, more underrated than why. Sauerkraut, Henry Kissinger's deep soothing voice, or dogs wearing sweaters.
I like dogs wearing sweaters.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I haven't done an interview in 20 years.
Mr. Sizemore, first name Tom. How are you, my friend? I could turn the volume lower if you'd like next time. If you'd like me to do that, Tom, I could do that.
Wow, that was something else. I don't know what I can do now.
Oh, please.
That was terrific, man.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And you know what? As charming as a guy that you are, man, and as honest as a guy as you are, and as down-to-earth as a guy as you are, you played a character that isn't so down-to-earth named Scrooge in college. You played Scrooge. And of course, I feel like a thespian should rely on their instinct. Do you feel like you rely on your instinct a lot as a storyteller as well?
I mean, playing Scrooge at that young an age was, when I think about it now, I only way I could have done it is I was relying on my instincts. I could have done it any other way. Okay.
More underrated than why? Unicycles, Italian men named Skippy, or sophisticated dinosaurs?
What? More sophisticated dinosaurs?
Yeah,
I want to say the sentence. Italian men named Skippy. I just want to say.
Yes. Yeah, Italian men named Skippy.
I just want to say the sentence. Italian men named Skippy.
Yeah, something you'll never hear. Yeah. Did you have fun? Did you have a nice time?
I had a great time. It was ball.
Yeah, man.
I want to do it again. This is great. I just think it's going to be, a lot of fun for people. I don't think people let this on the air. I don't think really. No, there isn't. I just think it's going to be I'm very interested in how people respond to it, because I know it's going to be interesting and see if people tune in and stay tuned in, and I really hope they do. And I'm all yours, bro. Let's go out and make this work. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
I teach a workshop, and one of my students finally said about my class about iambic pentameter. He finally said, I got it, and he was excited. And it was both his elation and those 3 words that make it worthwhile, right?
Amen. Amen. You got it. But I think I've got to have equally passionate people involved in the production of it. That passion will override any reservations anybody has as to the show's potential for entertainment or education.
Did you feel as if transitioning to the stage and performing live theater was a natural fit for you?
Yes, I did. I always felt very comfortable on stage, more so on stage than I did in film or television. So I'm looking forward to you, Avi, giving me your thoughts and your input, because as I told you, that piece that you sent me is, I love good writing, and I think
Thank you,
been
sir.
the secret of my career. And this is a beautiful piece of writing, as I said. I'm referring to the piece that you wrote me. You're onto something because you're a writer. You're a creative force, and I want to hook up.
Thank you so much for those kind words, guys. Thank you for being you, my friend. I appreciate you and respect you wholeheartedly.
And that goes double for me to you, Avi.
Yeah, I know people say this a lot, but man, my dad fought. He fought to the end. I promise you. He was. They didn't give him much of a shot. He kept fighting. He was a quiet guy, a big guy, an honest guy, a funny guy. He passed a couple of months ago. He'd love being able to sit here with you guys right now. I know that for a fact. And yeah, they told him on a Friday. No, they told him on a Thursday. We changed your pacemaker. We'll see how it goes. We think you'll be able to get discharged sometime next week. The next day, they told him complete heart failure. There's nothing we can do. And with complete heart failure, there goes the kidneys, there goes the liver, everything goes. And they said, you got to sit here in this room now for 2 days until you expire. So he hung around longer than they thought. And I promise you, because I was there every moment, he did not complain or say a word. He lost his voice at that point, didn't want people to do anything for him at all. He once summoned me with his big old fingers and said to me, he never watched the show because God bless him, and I respect this. He's an old school guy that didn't have internet in his place. Didn't want internet. Didn't want to be bothered. He was an old fashioned guy. So he summoned me with his big fingers and he said, I want you to do the show tonight. I never missed one, much like we're doing tonight. I never missed a show. He's like, I want you to do it tonight. And if you do, I'll watch it on your mom's phone. And he never watched it before. And I'm like, Dad, I don't want to leave your side. He goes, no, I'll watch the show if you go. So I was like, okay, Dad, if that's your wish, I want to respect your wishes. So I was getting prepared, and then 20 minutes later, before I left, he summoned me over again with his big fingers. And I'm thinking, pearls of wisdom again. I can't wait. I lean over, and he says, give me some water. That's how beautiful. He smiled and winked at me because he knew there was so much tension in the room. He wanted to make us feel better while he was like gradually expiring and leaving this world. So I know you guys have stories like that about family and parents, and it's so amazing to know that at some point we're going to be there. Like we're going to get to that point where, right, that there are people looking over us. I'm not getting too personal, but I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think it's important to be good to the people we love, not because of the following, but because at some point they might be our caretakers? They might be people that we need when we can't do anything about our physical condition. That's pretty important, right?
Yeah, I feel it's important because just like you're being raised by your parents and they're raising you to be a well-standing human being or adult, then they're doing that not even knowing or maybe in foresight of, like you said, that answering that question potentially for that. Sure. So because I know that's how my mom and dad, they raised me. They wanted me to be a well-rounded human being, have friends of every, of every background, of every creed, color, race. If I could do it, which I do, I have everybody. I have friends from all that pretty much are every continent on this planet right now. I could reach out to somebody and say hello, and I'm proud of that because
awesome.
It's I think as a human race, as we continue to develop, I think we got to be able to understand what that is like. Because at one point, we're all on one continent. We were all from the same area, or we were created from the same area.
Sure.
And so just know that we're not much different from each other. We obviously have different values, different cultures now because we're all separated by bodies of water, and mountain ranges and temperatures of the temperature of the region. But at the end of the day, we all have hearts, we have brains, we have similar characteristics in terms of personality, and we're all one race here on this planet. So
amen to that. Amen. Randy?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, Ahman. I think we are all connected. Doesn't matter. They find more ways to divide us now than they ever have. And we are all connected. We're all humans, first and foremost. That's the only title I want you to give me.
Yeah.
Not the color of my skin, not any other title other than I'm a human just like you. And we have to love each other and take care of each other. My stepfather, Marco, passed so I can resonate with your father 3 years ago in the summer. Amazing guy, probably the closest to a real father that I had. He always told a great joke. He said, I used to look like a Greek god. Now I look like a goddamn Greek. I told that story at his memorial, and everybody got a good chuckle out of that one. But he was an amazing man. And to see somebody you love like that start to deteriorate and that quality of life starts to go from them. And he would much rather have sat on the couch and watched baseball than gone out and walked the golf course.
Yeah, right.
And then you hate to see that in somebody that you love, and you got to recognize that we're all going to be there at some point. And it's inherent that you're supposed to love and be good to the people that are your blood, that are your people. But that's not always the case. And so sometimes, you don't get to choose your blood. and
no,
it's part of the human condition.
100%. 100%.
You were close to him. I mean, he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had a restaurant along with your mom called Marco's on Highway 99 in North Linwood, right?
That's right. Marco's Place. And that was his social Marco's Place. He went to every table, told jokes. That's just where he loved to be. When they finally sold the restaurant, we were trying to help him get healthy and got him a gym membership, got him a stationary bike, which became a clothes rack in the bedroom. but then it was going walking on the treadmill because then he could talk to the person that was next to him on that next treadmill. That was it became like a social thing. His social thing because he missed the restaurant, and that was his social place.
That's so well said. Robert, your take on human connection, we talked about it a bit earlier, but it is important to be able to show the people we love how much they mean to us, right?
Well, sure. I mean, sorry about your father. I would just share this quote from a Stoic, which is, if it's true what the prophets and the sages say, and that some welcoming abode awaits us upon our death, then he who is supposed to be dead and gone has merely been sent on ahead to prepare a place for us that we shall not be long in reaching.
Wow, that's beautiful. And that's comforting too.
Well,
that's comforting.
I mean,
that's the only thing that gets me through the day when I think about him is that I know that what happened to him sucks, but I also know that, wherever he is, I guess a moment of levity, that's what I do. He doesn't have to watch the New York Knicks anymore. They really destroyed him. I got to tell you, those New York Knicks destroyed my dad. So no more of that, Bob. Man. Every time they lured us in and we're going to have a good season, boom, they got us again every time.
So they gave him Anthony Towns for Julius Randle. So that's one of the steal of the century, except the Lakers got Luka. I mean,
what
really?
A trade that was. Yeah, I know that's an incredible trade for sure. We talked earlier about how a lot of fans don't know this, but Dr. Jerry Buss was all about taking Magic Johnson, but Jerry West was like, I want to draft Sidney Moncrief. And if it wasn't for Jerry Buss, Magic wouldn't have been the Lakers. So, yeah.
Jerry made a few bad picks. He had a fondness for players from West Virginia, and he would pick them in the second round, and most of them washed out. And he only picked them because he was loyal to his
West
home
Virginia.
state. But yeah, sure. I mean, but as far as being a judge of basketball flesh or basketball talent, I think his record speaks for itself. I mean,
yes. I mean, look at the gems he pulled out of round 2. Nick Van Exel, George Lynch, a late first-round pick, and Eddie Jones. The guy knew how to draft.
Bryant, pretty much, Kobe Bryant right up there at the top of that deal. So he was pretty smart guy.
Very smart, absolutely. And guys and gals and pals who are listening, thank you for being smart and putting down the clicker and watching Randy Couture, Ahman Green, and Robert Shafer do their thing and educate us. And as we peel back the layers, you got to get to see the person behind the persona. We thank them for that because that's what they're giving us. Now, what I want to give you guys for a couple of minutes before we delve into topic 2, why not? It's kind of, I guess, the moments of levity portion of this show. It's a wacky game that I call more underrated, or another game, which I think we might play, called I Would Pay, I'd Pay. So we're going to play I'd Pay. The way this works is I'll give Randy, Robert, and Ahman a trio of wacky options. Disclaimer, wacky options. They have to pick one which they would pay to see and why. They'll let us know which one they pick and why they pick it. We're going to start first with Randy Couture. Randy, I'm going to give you a trio of options. Let me know which one you would pay for to see and why. Rocky Balboa as a neurosurgeon, Seinfeld as a correctional officer, or Rambo, the talk show host.
Wow. So you got Stallone in there twice.
Twice.
You're making this easy on me. I think Rambo as a talk show host would be an absolute blast. It might be a very short conversation, but that would be a lot of fun. And he would absolutely cut right to the chase. So
he would, and literally, if he gets pissed off, he literally cut to the chase. I'm going to ask Robert Shafer the same trio of options for you, my good friend. Why not? It's a couple of bucks. You want to pay for one of these options? They're available. Would you pay to watch the following? One of the following: Rocky Balboa as a neurosurgeon, Seinfeld as a correctional officer, or Rambo the talk show host?
Well, I would have picked Rambo's talk show host, but since it's already been chosen, I'll take Seinfeld as a correctional officer because that's funny. He's not going to keep his mouth shut. So, as a neurosurgeon, there's no way he could do that. His hands are just too messed up to be a neurosurgeon. Come on, you're walking out of there without a brain. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
He
would probably get himself
with boxing gloves on.
Yeah, no.
Right. That is not going to be a good idea to see that. Yeah.
I could see Frazier in that cell too with him.
Oh yes, I could see that. I could see that. He'd try to be funny and get himself in trouble with some of the inmates.
Yeah.
Like, why do they call these bars? You can't establish any rhymes out of them. Ha ha ha! And then something would happen to him invariably. Another trio of options. Well, Ahman Green, I got to give you the same thing, my good friend. We got again the same options for you. If you were to pick one of the following, would it be Rocky Balboa as a neurosurgeon, Seinfeld as a correctional officer, or Rambo the talk show host? And Ahman, I think we might have lost you, my friend. We will get right back to you. That's okay. 2 more of these, and then we can go to topic number 2. Just a couple of more. Randy, a couple of more of these wacky options. Which would you pay for to see and why of the following? Darth Vader as a wedding planner, Godzilla the massage therapist, or Freddy Krueger the personal trainer?
I think Darth Vader is a wedding planner. I am your father, Luke. I can hear that right now. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
I said more fish tacos to the caterer. Nobody would get it wrong. That wedding would be planned so well to a T. Robert, I want to see if you concur, my friend, or if not, the options you have are the same. This is Darth Vader as a wedding planner, Godzilla as a massage therapist, or Freddy Krueger, the personal trainer.
Godzilla as a massage therapist would be pretty funny. You'd have to admit, the strength alone, nobody would survive the massage, I'm thinking. But, Jessica Lange, didn't she run into Godzilla? No, King Kong. That was King Kong.
King Kong in 1976. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Loved her. I was immediately smitten after that. I mean, I followed her career my whole life just based on.
I like how everybody just doesn't bring up the fact that King Kong in 1976 tried to get frisky with Jessica Lange at some point.
Yeah.
Because it happened. It happened.
Wasn't Jeff Bridges in that movie too?
He was. He was the only guy that didn't die.
Hell of an actor.
Interesting.
The only male supporting or lead that didn't die. Charles Grodin.
Yeah. Oh well, one of my favorites. Just deadpan.
I'm gonna ask Ahman Green the same trio of questions, my friend. Which would you pick and why? Which would you pay for and why if you had the following as options? Darth Vader, the wedding planner, Godzilla, the massage therapist, or Freddy Krueger, the personal trainer?
Oh my God, them are classics. I would definitely pay to see Darth Vader as a wedding planner.
Oh yeah, you have to.
I would sit in the background and be like, man, once they say no to his choice, what's gonna go down? Is he gonna force choke him, or he's gonna pull out the lightsaber? Which one?
Yeah, that wedding's gonna go right. We know that. It's
wedding's gonna go right his way or no
his
way.
Darth's way.
Like I said, I'd pay to see that.
I would too. Man, the question is how much? Maybe that's a different game later on. Maybe in a few months we'll play how much will we pay? But this is for Randy, and then topic number 2. Randy, which would you pay for and why of the following wacky options? Would you pay to see the following? Beetlejuice as a runway model, cast of Goodfellas as studio audience members on Jerry Springer, or Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th as a professional ice skater?
Oh yeah, Voorhees as an ice skater. Come on.
Oh yeah, that's gonna get nasty fast.
We pick into this number.
Yes.
And who is going to be his partner? This is couples, right? This has got to be a.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Jason
God.
on ice. Maybe that's what the camp counselors should have thought about. Yeah.
Triple camel toe, whatever. That's to a whole new level.
Well, we do have Nancy Kerrigan in this tournament. I'm going to talk to her about that possibility, if she's okay with that. Man, I like where Randy's going with this, man. He really illustrated it. Ahman Green, I'm going to ask you the same question again. Which would you pay for and why of the following? Beetlejuice as a runway model, cast of Goodfellas as studio audience members on Jerry Springer, or Jason Voorhees as a professional ice skater?
I love the Voorhees one, Randy. That was a good one. But I'm gonna go just to see. I mean, I would definitely pay beyond paying to see Jason Voorhees because he gonna probably eventually figure out he could take off the ice skates and do some damage with those.
Uses a weapon. It becomes a weapon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then but I gotta go. You said Goodfellas in the audience.
Of Jerry Springer, yeah.
Jerry Springer,
Goodfellas as studio audience members
because they're old school. They're old school gangsters. So for anybody on that stage, it's going to be a problem if something doesn't go down the way they feel. They're like, forget, what is this? What is this? You big dumb, like they're going to handle it. They're going to come out of the seats and take over the show. Because I can just see, you talking to me?
Right, exactly.
I can see, Ray Liotta. I can see Joe Pesci just coming out in character, be like, no, come here. This is what you're gonna do here. Because if it doesn't happen to this, you gotta talk to me. I would pay to see them.
One of those episodes where you are not the father. What?
Right.
Oh, that wouldn't go good. That would not go good.
Do you remember Jerry's confession at the end where you would talk to the hard camera? You talk to the hard cam.
Yeah.
Give sort of a monologue. But you're seeing Pesci causing ruckus in the back, and oh my God, I'd pay to see this. Absolutely.
That wouldn't be pretty. I would pay to see it. Like I said, it would go south fast. It would
the
go
big
south.
bodyguard on stage would have his work cut out for him that night. For sure.
For sure.
I guess the sequel of that part of the game is I'd pray that episode goes into syndication so I could always see it. Robert Shafer, I got to ask you the same question, same options. Beetlejuice as a runway model, cast the Goodfellas as studio audience members on Jerry Springer, or Jason Voorhees as a professional ice skater?
Well, I have to go with the cast of Goodfellas. Mom kind of get we hit a deer.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a universal. Guys, let us know what you think in the comment section as we delve into our final topic right now before we bid you all adieu. This is topic number 2. Guys and gals and pals, again, you could play along as well. We're going to kick it off right now to Mr. Robert. Robert's going to start off topic number 2, and it's a thought-provoking question. Robert, you can go as long as you'd like, my friend. Can you name 3 things that we can do to measure the productivity of a society? Whenever you're ready to go, the floor is yours. Good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's easy. The first thing, the most important thing, is the birth rate. The birth rate needs to be 2.0 children for every married couple. The United States birth rate right now is 1.6. for society to maintain itself, let alone be productive. You have to increase the number of children that we are having. We have to, Hungary and Romania right now are paying their citizens to have children. I mean, your financial goes up $10,000 per child. I'm not sure if they're doing tax credits or actually cash stipends, but I mean, this is a problem throughout the world as women have gone to work instead of being homemakers and raising children. So let's get the birth rate up. The second thing we can do to measure the productivity of a society has to do with our giving. The Americans are very giving people. We send money all over the world, and we really help people who get in trouble here at home. Just go look at a GoFundMe, for instance. I mean, people get into trouble, and next thing you know, there's $350,000 in an account from strangers, $1 or $5 at a time. So we measure that way. And also, we get back to measure on social media. I mean, we know more about our neighbors and our friends than we ever have, right? Except all we know is they're trying to show the good stuff, which I prefer saying the good stuff than the bad stuff. When somebody's pet dies, I hate hearing about the Rainbow Bridge every time I look through Facebook. I sympathize. It breaks my heart. I mean, that's just part of life. But, we know more. And so we need to be able to make people care. And I don't think we can do it online because people are just, there's a real bad streak, an element, that likes to comment. I mean, it's all about making snarky comments. I mean, you get that all the time. It's weird. People used to ask me to join these office groups all the time. I'm like, I'm not joining any groups. I don't want to read the comments that these people make. I'm better off not reading. I mean, you're curious. Do they like me? Do they not like me? But at the end of the day, you still have to just take care of business. Give as you have been blessed, right? Do unto others as they do to you. As ye reap, so shall ye sow, right? All right, that makes sense.
No, yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Wow, that's incredible the way you kind of put that together too. You're right, and it spoke to me. You're right. Everyone's trying to make these snarky remarks. On one hand, hey, I got a mic, we got microphones and headphones and all that good stuff, and it's great. But man, oh man, for people all of a sudden to now all look upon TikTok as a place where you can cite your source, that's a scary place.
Yeah.
Somehow TikTok's become the library for the youth. Oh my God.
I've never watched a TikTok video. I haven't. I had people who send them to me. I'm like, nope, don't watch it. I don't care.
Not a fan either.
I think we need to maintain some privacy and some dignity in this world and not share every little thing. I mean, that's crazy to me. I don't understand it. When did that happen?
I know. I only shared, Robert, I only shared the following one time on this broadcast. And, I don't know if I should have. I told the gang once who was on here, I told the team that we had on that there was one occasion, on only one, where I had no tolerance to break up with my ex-girlfriend because she wouldn't listen to me when I told her to stop rationing her toothpaste. She had to get that last squeeze out. That last squeeze. Get a new bar of toothpaste. God almighty. Don't you agree like the last 2% of toothpaste lasts longer than the first 98% of toothpaste?
Well, I'm sure she was on your butt for leaving the seat up too. So let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's a good call, actually. Yeah, you're right. Man, oh man, that was my comeuppance. Mr. Ahman Green, the same question for you, my good friend. This is a thought-provoking question. Can you do the following as well and name 3 things that we can do to measure the productivity of a society? The floor is yours whenever you're ready to go. Good sir.
Sure, I'll say for the first one, to be honest, I gotta agree with Robert in terms of like he definitely dug into some numbers of in terms of the birth rate of what's going on in the was it just the U.S. or was it the world, Robert?
That's our birth rate. It's 1.6. I mean, Germany's
in America.
Germany 0.9.
Germany, the native rate is 0.6, and their immigrant birth rate is 10.0.
Yeah, they're being outbred. It's insane. Europe in general is being severely outbred.
Yeah, outbred, out children, and that's just being conquered from within, just by sheer number.
Yeah, just hearing that, I'm kind of, because I'm a geography guy, history guy, so that
Yeah.
kind of like when you said that and you had the numbers down pat, I was like, okay, that makes sense, and definitely because obviously we want to. I say for us, we have our families, we have kids, and you want to try to leave the earth in a better place, and so obviously teaching and talking about this stuff is be good knowledge. So I definitely agree with that first one, but for the other for another I say thing that we could do as a society to make everything I say better moving forward. And Randy, you kind of hit on it too. I heard you say it. I think we were talking about the communication side of it. Being not through. Yeah, we're doing this show like this, but overall, that when we have our communion, we talk to one another. It's that face to face interaction, right? I had a job. I coach esports, so I coach video game teams, and obviously during COVID, we got stuck in that pandemic, but everything had to be virtual. But I couldn't wait for the moment where I could go to a high school and recruit a kid in person and talk to their mom and dad and give them the rundown of what we want, that we could give your student if he comes to this school, education, playing these games. So that I think that face to face contact is a lot more bigger than what we feel it is. Obviously, it's easy to do this on a constant basis, and I think Avi also mentioned talked about the short form communication through videos. Usually, things are short form, 8 to 10 seconds, and then boom, and you move on to the reel that's in your Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and nobody really pays attention and really has these long conversations like this, because then, like we all are, we're learning new things. Me and Randy, we met almost 15 years ago, and we probably we spent almost a day and a half together on that movie set. But in this almost 2 hour conversation, we learn more now than we did in those 2 days,
Absolutely
and
true.
so right, so I think we need to slow down, because it's the process, like you like Avi referenced. I can't wait that whole 2 minutes. I want to get it out now. I'm like, no, slow down and take it in. Take in information, take in the process. Every time I talk to somebody, and if it's a business deal, I say, you know what, let me sleep on it. I want to read through it, and I'll talk to you in the morning. I'll talk to you 2 days from now. When I'm talking to my friends, if we're in person, my phone's down, I'm paying attention, and it's 100% attention to that person. I think we do that more as a society, to pay attention to each other, in our households, at schools, wherever we commune, outside of those places. Pay attention to, observe. Good coaching from the coaches I've had. Some of the best coaches, they did a lot less talking. They paid attention to us as people in terms of players on their team, and we were more people than players. They understood when they could figure out. My coach Osborne I had in Nebraska, he could figure out real fast if I was having a bad day just by looking at me, and he'd be like, "Ahman, come over here. How's your day going?" I'm having a little rough. I didn't. I got a test back and it wasn't a good grade. Oh, okay. So we talked through that conversation. It's just because obviously he was able to see, me walking on the practice field. I might have had my head down, or I might have did something that tipped him off. And he said, let's have face to face interaction right now. Obviously he doesn't say that; it just happens. So that's number two, for me, and then number three, again, I say finally, really, I say work on something real big that I've done for myself for a long time, and I'll say I don't see it in a lot of young folks, is the self-evaluation. If everybody could understand what that means, one is just basically, we like I think Robert said it, and also Avi and Randy said it, in terms of, if you put something in the chat, everybody wants to remark on it, right? But you're throwing, it's the old adage, you're throwing stones, right? But why are you throwing stones? Don't you have stuff you got to work on for yourself too? It's like, fix yourself first. I got a good friend of mine. I was helping him through a little dilemma with him and his kid's mother, and I found out real fast that they both had things within them that were broken, and they have to fix them themselves first before they to say they could help their kids out. You know, that was something I heard my dad was an AA counselor when I grew up in California. So he would take me to AA meetings when I was like 6 and 7 and 8 years old. And I'm hearing grown people talk about their gambling addiction, their alcohol addiction, their drug addiction, you know, and what, you know, having a drug addiction in terms of how you're going to buy drugs over feeding your kids. And so it's like, man, if you're not dealing with your issues first, then what makes you think you could be a parent and raise somebody up when you're broken? So if you got stuff within inside of you in the world today, if you're that person somewhere sitting listening to this right now, deal with your stuff first. Deal with your demon. If it's demons, if it's triggers, fix them. Become aware of them, because sometimes those triggers makes you react to other things, and sometimes it's the wrong reaction because they triggered you. They hurt you. It was a moment whenever, and now it comes out spewing, you know, hate and regret for whatever. But it's something that hurt you when you were a kid. It's nothing that's at the moment hurting you, but you're reacting to that moment. So learn that trigger to change it and stop it. And I'll say you won't stop it, but just learn how to control it. And it's almost reference to superheroes. To like, you learn your power. You find out, oh man, you know, I could do this. I could fly like Superman. I could jump and do stuff like Spider-Man. But if you don't control it, we've seen it, right? You read it in Marvel Comics with Spider-Man, or you've seen it with Superman. He had to control his powers before he became the superhero. You know, Peter Parker had to learn how to spit that web out, know his strength. Same thing. You got to learn who you are as a person, because if you don't, you're going to go into a space where people are going to attack you. If it's verbally, if it's, you know, jokingly, and they're going to throw something at you, you may not be ready for it. And then you're going to react. And that reaction is not really you. It's you coming from that pain that you experienced. And that's what what you're reacting to. Because I had something happen to me when I was a kid, and I had to confront the person. And that person was so my family, big family, on my dad's side, I had a brother that did things to me when I was a kid. And again, like that moment when I was in Arizona with that illness, again, I had a frame of reference to say, hey, one day I got to confront. Something told me to get past this. It didn't bother me. It didn't slow me down, but I knew I had to address that with the person that hurt me, because if not, I was going to eventually, I could turn it around on somebody else and use that as an excuse to say my pain is going to be your pain. And that's not fair to that person. So I got to fix myself before I got to go do anything else with anybody else, especially my children. Because as kids, as parents, I'm a dad. I'm a father of 5, 4 girls and a son. And I don't want their pain to be my pain. You know, I don't want to pour into them. I want to make sure their lives are as good as possible. They understand life. They're good, well-rounded human beings. And that I was able to pass along what I learned in my life to make myself as best as I could do. Because I know nobody's perfect, but I'm going to do my best. And so I make sure they are that product of me and my wife who raised them. And so I'll say one thing in society: look at yourself first, judge yourself first before you start pointing fingers at people out there in society, in the world.
Amen to that. Wow. Yeah, I love that. And you guys are saying something that's resonating with me too. Like if you're climbing Mount Everest and there are people throwing stones at you, let them throw all the stones they want, because you're close to that summit. They can't even reach you. That stone will never even reach you. If you ignore it and just keep focusing on your objective, they could throw a million stones in the world and not one will puncture your skin. It won't even get close. So I love what you said. A lot of positivity here, and I appreciate you guys for being able to impart that. Guys, Randy Couture, Mr. Randy Couture is going to finish this thing off right now with the same very topic. Randy, if you could name 3 things that we can do to measure the productivity of a society, the floor is yours whenever you're ready to go, good sir.
Well, first of all, I look at society as the entire realm, the entire globe. We're all in this together. We're all spinning on a rock through this universe together, and that's one society, one people. We're all humans, as we've said before already. So war we've got to stop killing each other. We've got to stop fighting each other. They find more ways to divide us through government and religion and every other thing you can think of. We've got just war is an absolute indicator of whether a society is flourishing or not. And you look at Beirut, it used to be the gem in the Mediterranean, and through war now is unrecognizable. I've been to Iran. First Americans to step foot in that place since the hostage crisis in 1980. Gazvin, for a very, very interesting and amazing experience for me on a U.S. wrestling team to be in Iran to wrestle. And those people treated us like kings over there. They were so happy we were there. Had nothing to do with those governments and all the differences and stuff they want to put on us and make us kill each other. So we have got to stop that shit. Hunger. There's a lot of people starving as much as in this country as we say it's not happening here in America. They're supposed to be a first world country and all that. Now, still parasites here, still people starving in this country. That should not be happening. And that is an indication that we as a society are not flourishing. Unity. We're all humans. We need to start taking care of each other. And that starts with exactly what Ahman just said. You got to learn to love yourself first. We're all trying to overcome those first 7 years of our lives where we were told no, and you're bad and bad boy and all the other stuff. And then any other trauma that got laid on top of that. We have to learn to love ourselves first before we can effectively love any other human on this planet. And that's where it starts. And now, as a society, as a globe, we are going to start to really flourish, take care of each other, and be in a lot better place than we are at right now.
Yeah, and I mean this when I say this. If anyone is listening, if any of the suits and ties of the world, the people in the industry that Ahman, Randy, myself, and Robert are a part of, if any of them are listening, it also starts with you. Because dare I use that P word, power, but you guys have the power to make a difference as well. Because sometimes your influence, it does boil down to dollars and cents. And what you do with those dollars and cents can create peace or divide people. And what Randy is saying right now, and what Ahman is saying, what Robert is saying, can be the first step, a blueprint, if you will, because they're not only speaking passionately, but they're speaking in a detailed fashion. They're not shortchanging you. And I appreciate you guys really for speaking from the heart and the mind, as well as you do all the time outside of this platform. To do that here as well means a lot to me. So thank you. Thank you very much. I'm honored to call you guys friends and build this friendship. Yeah, from the ground floor.
Pleasure. Thank you for creating a platform where we can actually do this. And yes, this is a digital platform, and we're kind of bashing on the digital world. But at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're communicating face to face. We're being vulnerable. We're showing parts of ourselves that most people in the digital world do not do. So that's a major difference between what we're doing right here today and what most people are doing on this thing every day.
I echo your sentiments, because if we're able to, I'll ask you guys a question. It's kind of sappy, but I'd rather be sappy than cynical in life. But the tagline that I always like to use to condense what we're all about to people is strangers leave as friends. I know Randy and Ahman spent a day with each other. I get that. But would you guys concur that after today, strangers did walk out as friends? That's how I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had a ton of respect
100%.
for Ahman back then. And as an athlete, I mean, I didn't get to know him until that day. As a person, oddly enough and funnily enough, we got to do the interracial book club in this movie, which was a thing to do. It was a Rob Schneider movie, and
Rob Schneider wrote it. Yeah,
Rob is. It was 109 in this old women's prison that we're all operating on.
Summer.
Hot. And here's the star and producer of this movie running around, making sure all of us had water and that we weren't going to fall out. That's the kind of guy he was. So
he's committed.
Very funny film. It's called Big Stand. It was a lot of fun.
It's on Netflix.
Breakfast, right? Big line in the movie.
I'm pumped to see it myself, and I hope you guys and gals out there in digital land. But yeah, if we can connect with each other through this little device that I have in front of me and a microphone and some headphones, man, there's hope. There's hope, guys. So please try to reinvent the game a little bit. Don't do the same old, same old. No more YouTube videos talking or waiting for people's missteps on their shows like Politically Incorrect or The View, picking apart what they say and judging them. None of that stuff. Have a nice living room conversation. You might get some friends out of it. And hey, you might be able to learn a thing or two about more than just a thing or two. So I'm going to bid Randy adieu first. But before I do, Ahman and Robert, anything you'd like to tell Randy?
Hey, thanks, Randy. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, Randy.
I appreciate you guys sharing those
Yeah.
very intimate stories and sharing that part of yourselves. It means a lot to me, and I will cherish that.
Yeah,
That's
you're
awesome.
welcome, man. Randy, good seeing you again. Never
You as well.
never thought I was gonna see you again, but we crossed in the same paths of a lot of folks, so I knew eventually we would. So, and then
I love it.
Robert
And
as
Ahman
well.
and Robert, don't go anywhere. I'm going to put you guys backstage for about just 10 seconds because I want to talk to you one-on-one as I bid you guys adieu. I'm going to talk to
And
Randy for about 30
I put my phone number in the chat for both of y'all. You can kind of copy and paste it real quick before we
that's
jump
awesome.
out of the studio for both of y'all,
Okay.
Robert and Randy. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
I see that right there. Ahman, don't sign out yet. Robert, please don't. I'm going to bring you guys back in. But listen, Randy, I meant what I said, my friend. I'm glad you're a part of the celebrity tournament right now. We'll see what happens as far as our viewers. Again, when they vote, it's a positive thing. Voting is a positive thing here. It's not like someone's carrying a pitchfork saying someone's better than the other. No, it's not divisive. Our viewers are so positive. They're going to say, hey, we vote for you because you resonated with me. So hope you make it on to the next round. But regardless, I meant what I said. Hope we can carve out a cool friendship because your values do speak to me. And I want you to know, man, I really do respect you for what you stand for. And I'm glad in these 2 hours I got to know the human being that you are because your presence is a present, my friend. So thank you.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you reaching out to me and allowing me to be on this. It's been amazing.
You had a nice time, my friend?
Yeah, great time. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Two great guys.
Yeah.
You know, share a lot of common values. They shared some very interesting stories and perspectives. And
For
that's
sure.
what it's all about. And that's what we have to do as humans. We got to continue to do this.
I agree with you, and I'm going to fight that fight with you, my friend. I hope you have a great rest of the evening, and thank you again.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Randy Couture, Robert, I'm going to bring you in here.
Yes.
Great, right? I mean, to be able to hear Randy speak so passionately, so intelligently, his passion for history, his knowledge for history, but being able to relate to people on a level that speaks to all of us, whether you're yay high, whether you're a bit older. I think that's a big takeaway, right, Robert?
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, I was a fan, obviously, of his. I mean, I've watched his work before, and then to be able to communicate with him here in this time today, Saturday night, is phenomenal. And thank you for the opportunity to meet Randy, and of course yourself. And good luck with the project. And I appreciate the opportunity too.
I appreciate you. Time goes by so fast. You know, it feels like it's a Saturday night. It feels like Saturday was just 3 days ago, but here we are on another Saturday night again. Robert, same can be said for you, man. I enjoyed our time on the phone. I enjoyed our time in the green room of this show. We'll see if you move on to the next round, but either way, we're going to communicate. And really, thank you for showing a side of yourself that I know the fans really cherish. The honesty, the vulnerability. You lead with a lot of passion and compassion. Did you have a nice time, my friend?
Sure. I believe in having a good time everywhere I go, whatever I do. Remember, this is my advice for people. Choose happiness and have zero expectations.
I love that. That's a great way to lead life. Amen to
Yes,
that.
sir.
Robert, my friend, I will be talking to you soon, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, Robert. What a class act, Ahman, huh? I know you had a chance to get to know Randy, but to get to know Robert over here on this level, man, I'm going to ask you questions about that cool setup, but getting to know Robert here as well, I like that because I'm in the same industry as Robert for 22 years now, and as a writer, it's so great to be able to work with artists that appreciate the craft of storytelling as much as Robert. He appreciates it. There's nothing pompous about him, but he has a way of talking about the arts that can relate to people who are even novices. And isn't that important? Because you're sort of a Renaissance man. You're a storyteller, right? You're a very academic, intellectual person since you've been young, Hall of Fame athlete. So you do a lot of things. Don't you agree it's great to spread a message to people that can be relatable across the board?
100%. It's great to do that because then you're going to teach. Your teaching will be able to get they could send around the world, right? Because you write a book, that book becomes, regardless of how many copies you sell, that book, you're going to have iterations of that book. Somebody might translate it to Spanish, then the German, then the Mandarin, then the Japanese and Chinese, because it's going to be teaching lessons. Good books where people have found stuff that just resonated with them, from good habits to good beliefs to morals, everything that's on the right track that aligns with being righteous. in life, and as a person, or even as a profession, right? You got books on how to be a good carpenter, stuff that's
Yeah,
old school.
right.
How to be somebody who knows how to manage other people. That is a skill, and that
It is. It
requires
is.
what we talked about. We kind of joked about it, but it was part of it. Is patience to manage people and to manage a process of things to be great takes time.
Yes, sir.
You can't push that. You can't force it. You can't fast forward it. You can't find Marty McFly and go in a DeLorean and go back to the future or go ahead in the future. You can't
No.
do that. It's got to be done 1 inch at a time of developing the person, the
Gotta
people,
nurture
the
nature.
group. You got to nurture them. You got to care for them. You got to
You're right.
show that you care for them.
You're right
And
about
so
that.
when you do that, those are the best lessons I learned from the coaches and teachers and my parents and family members that made me who I am.
I hope I can give you a
Because-
compliment that clicks with you. I hope it clicks with you.
Yeah.
And I say this because I compliment people because I always mean what I say. For someone who had, according to you, an issue communicating or speaking a lot because you were an action, take first action kind of a guy.
Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah.
You are extremely eloquent. You're extremely intelligent. You're a very good speaker. And I think that you're also a very good listener. I like how you listen and take things in. You retain knowledge really well. And I think you're able to give that to the speaker once they're done speaking. You're able to really click with them because they could tell that you've listened to everything they've said. So you're talking about patience and taking your time? Well, yeah, because that's what you do. You take your time with people. And that's such a rare... I guess it's because I've been in this industry for a while and you're around a lot of superficial people. So it makes me stand up in awe in the best way possible when I encounter someone like you. So thank you, man.
And you're welcome. You're welcome. And I was like surprised and all elated when I saw your text message weeks ago. I was like, man, he wants me to do something like this. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. And I didn't expect, like you did mention, I might be on with a crew of people, but when it was found out it was Randy and Robert, I was like, wait a minute, I know Randy. I haven't seen him since we shot the movie. So that was the summer of 2006. So we talking almost 19 years ago now.
Yeah, 19
almost
years,
20 years ago.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Man, I got to tell you, man, I'm going to look forward to continue getting to know you in this tournament or outside of it as well. We'll definitely communicate. Did you have a nice time, my friend?
I had a great time. Great time.
Awesome.
Can't wait to do it again, to talk with you. And I love your topics, and I love the little anecdote of comedy with your would you pay for it? Would you not? That I love that. I love how you added that in to kind of break up the tension a little bit because it gets serious, for the topic that we're talking about. You got to do that. So good job.
You're 100% right, and thank you for being aware of that. Hey, thanks for being you, my friend, and I'm going to see you real soon.
All right, you too, Avi. Talk to you later.
Thank you, my friend. Guys and gals and pals watching, Ahman Green. What a class act, huh? I like him. I think he's great. I think Randy's great. And I also think that Robert is great. And I think that you're great. And guys and gals and pals, this is a time where you vote on who resonates most with you. I do want to make an announcement. Round 2. It's meant the world to me. When I started the second round, my dad was still alive. In month 3 of round 2, my dad passed. As we enter the final lap of this round, I hope you know by now that this isn't just some show. This definitely isn't a podcast. This is someone's life's work. This is someone's mission. It's my mission. We're not going to always have our best days. We're not going to always say the right things to people. We're not always going to do the right things. But the absolute truth about TKN is that I would do anything to make sure that we can spread the good. And that's why I'm passionate about this and work my tail off behind the scenes. And the green roomers who do the same. And all of you who keep track of what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you. That's my message to you. Thank you. The floor is yours now. Let's see who comes in. Will it be a Howard? Will it be a Giselle? Will it be someone else? We'll see. But you guys can now vote on who resonates most with you and why.
Bam!
What a night.
Okay.
Howard, what do you think about those topics? Amazing, in-depth, hard-hitting, and it always leads to amazing conversations and amazing side conversations, which is really, I feel like, the meat sometimes of the show, those really amazing side conversations. I mean, what were you thinking while you were watching that amazing content?
Oh, the first one's great because it really puts into context what moment sticks with you from your career.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that moment so important? And how can you use that moment to inspire others? It clearly inspired you. And if it has that effect on you, who else could it possibly inspire? But then instead of taking someone who's up and coming, someone from the future, from a generation that they may be coaching, how could it inspire a historical figure?
Yeah.
And we get into this right away. Hey, Doc. Bonsoir, Jacques. Tripping over my French tonight. Bonsoir, Jacques. So start getting your votes in now in the comments section, and we will reveal those. We'll read them out loud as well. Eric, 1, Eamon, 2, Robert, 3, Randy. Is that for topic 1? Topic 2, just across the board. That's you resonated with most this evening. Let's get a little clarity on the top. Phil goes with Randy on topic 1. Thank you for your vote, Phil. Keep getting those votes in right now. Hi, Allison. How are you? Yes, Johnny. This is going to be hard to vote. I absolutely agree because hey, Miranda.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah, happy birthday. Hey, Ed. And yes, good job to Avi, because without these amazing topics that he conceptualized, we wouldn't have these incredible discussions with these talents across the board. And Ed, I believe I saw your vote there.
Ed, got to go with Randy across the board. Strong vote.
This has been an awesome night. Joe, get your vote in as well, please. Yes, we would love to see that from you. And Natalie and Jacques, before you go, especially Natalie, who are you voting for this evening?
Yeah.
What is that happening? Joe, Eamon was my favorite tonight. Both topics, topic 1, topic 2. I wish I could give them a third of a point each. Always. You're very welcome, Sustin. I hope you have a fantastic birthday. You deserve it. 3 great competitors, but my vote go to Randy and Robert for topic 1 and 2. Awesome. Thank you, Natalie.
Nice.
Right. And Christopher with his vote in as well. For topic 1, my pick is Robert because he really hit home for me. Topic number 2 was Eamon because he was so down to earth and honest with his words. Thank you for your vote, Christopher, on both of those topics.
My vote is for Avi.
Our vote's always for Avi.
Definitely
can't disagree with that. But he hasn't had his match yet. That is still upcoming. So unofficially, every week until then, our votes are always for Avi. I definitely get where you're coming from with that. But who tonight of these 3 competitors are you voting for?
I vote for Green. Johnny McKinney. Thank you. Is that topic 1, topic 2, Johnny? Let us know.
Both. Chad, I vote for Eamon in topic 1 and Randy in topic 2. Awesome. Thank you, Chad.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
It's in. Start counting it.
Yes, it's they are being tallied in the back as we speak. And as always, it is close. Aw, merci, Natalie.
Same to you, Natalie.
It's always a pleasure to have you, but thank you so much for that. It's always a pleasure. Howard, Natalie says it's always a pleasure to listen to us. Isn't that?
It's always a pleasure to read her and Jacques' comments. Always enjoy. You never thought simple words in a YouTube comment, but it does. Always great. Always great to see those thumbnails of you guys.
Great job, Avi. Like always, absolutely. 100%.
Yo! Randy just wrestled topic 1 to the ground. Love the imagery. Randy just wrestled topic 1 to the ground, and Robert stole the show on topic 2. Love it, Julio. Love it.
Thank you, Julio. Yeah, if you haven't gotten your votes in yet, get those in now. Our lovely viewers and engine in the comments. If you haven't seen your friends vote yet, tell them to get their votes in now.
And Johnny said both topics he voted.
Thank you, Johnny, for clarifying that. That's awesome. We appreciate y'all so much. You have no idea. We can't do this without you. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting here listening to my voice in a void, and I think it's kind of
It could get existentially lonely, I think.
right. Ed with his votes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Howard.
I got to go with Randy across the board. Thank
Nice.
you, Brad. Yeah, I mean, strong stuff from Randy, man.
Mm-hmm.
My second topic choice is Ahman. Thank you, time. Thank you, time.
And Allison at Chad Dixon. I also vote for Eamon for topic 1 and Randy for topic 2. Awesome. Thank you, Allison, for getting that in for us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, always creates a great moment when Peaceful Pete is around. Hey, Pete, how you doing, buddy?
Is he even being peaceful right now? Allison, is Pete being peaceful at the moment? Is he putting aside his
Randy, topic 1, and I'm on topic 2. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Pete. I think he's just saying hello, right, Pete? You're just saying hello, being friendly. That's all.
He did get his votes in. He did get his votes in. So if you have not done that, follow. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. Follow one Peaceful Pete's example and get your votes in now. Will E. Wilson, thank you so much for being here this evening and commenting and voting. It was a great show as usual. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. And we appreciate having you here every week. Randy gets my vote for both topics. I always picture Randy as a badass. He showed he's human.
Yeah.
That's it. That is what we do here. We are able to actually show the person, the humanity.
And Peaceful Pete's showing that he is peaceful. When are you going to face me? That's a loaded question there. But a very loaded moment was Randy talking about, the beautiful vulnerability that all three of those men showed tonight. And I always talk to Avi about this. It's beautiful to watch every weekend. Again, and credit to Avi because he creates an environment where these guys can really just open up and open their hearts and minds and show these beautiful stories. Eagle John, want to read that one, Giselle?
Your dad is looking down on you proudly, a son full of passion and love of life. You have made his life a wonderful journey that has made you the man that you are, Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, rest in peace.
Oof. Whoa. John, man, you kidding me, brother? Wow. My father would have been honored to shake your hand, Eagle John. Thank you, brother. Oh, man, that says it all.
That is not said lightly, and that is said very truthfully. And Eagle John, we appreciate you being here every week. Your comments are always so intelligent and inspiring as well, and exactly the type of person that Avi's dad would have been very proud to know and meet and shake hands with. I think Avi gets a lot of this from his father, where they make everyone feel at ease and they become fast friends right away. And it doesn't matter where they are, what walk of life they come from, how they've been, just like he's done this evening.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, what I loved is there were moments where, Robert was just listening, which is great. But Avi would kind of bring him into the conversation, and that to me is kind of like so much of who Avi is, who slept out. No, you're coming to this party. No, you're going to eat with us. You're coming to this table. Let's go and eat and have this great conversation.
Love this event. Absolutely time. And the great thing is this event happens every Saturday night at 8 p.m. There's a new match for you. It is free right here on our YouTube channel. Eagle John says Randy had it all tonight. Awesome. Thank you, Eagle John, for that. Joe, this was a good night. Did you count my votes? Yes, Joe, we did get your votes earlier. Thank you for making sure of that, but we did get them. Time. Ahman was so deep. He was. And, he said a lot of really cool things tonight.
Hope your weather isn't too horrible. I'm glad the show is on. Yeah, I've heard some people were talking about some crazy hurricanes and storms happening somewhere out there, I guess, Midwest. Phil Donahue. Topic number 2, I go with Ahman. I wish I could have given them each one third of a point. Yeah. And I just want to say, speaking of great matches, guys, don't go anywhere, because at the end, we're going to show an amazing outro video that will show you and showcase to you the amazing match we have next Saturday night. If you thought this was amazing, again, next Saturday night, somehow, some way, it's going to be topped in its own beautiful way, I'm sure. So,
well, and the great thing about tonight is that these 3 may not be done yet. This is an 11th hour match.
Yes.
There could be a tie. There could be a 2-way tie. There could be a 3-way tie. There could be a one person declared the winner and then a 2-way tie for second place. So we could potentially see all 3 of these competitors again. And stick around for that outro, as you will find out who is appearing next Saturday night. So good tonight. Thank you, Time. It was a good one. Eagle John, Randy on both topics, the total package tonight. Thank you so much for that, Eagle John, for your vote. He really was fantastic tonight. Absolutely. But yes, so we could see all of these 3 again, but if we do, they could be eliminated in round 2, because in round 2, there are no ties.
Nope.
Someone is eliminated. We saw that last week.
Yeah.
And remember, we've said from the beginning, if you have tech issues, if you can't make it on before the end of the second topic and give your answers to both your topics, you are done. This is not a new rule. This has been in place since the start of round 2. So those of you out there who are watching and paying attention and haven't had your round 2 match,
whoa. Results are in.
Are we ready, Engine? Are we ready to find out what has happened on this glorious night with these amazing topics and wonderful competitors who are so much more than their resumes say they are? All right, Howard,
though.
what do you think is going to happen?
I think the stars are aligned, and we might see these 3 stars entering round number 2. That's what I'm thinking.
Do you think one person is going to have a lead? And who could the top vote getter possibly be?
That's a great question. I think Randy by a hair might have been the top vote getter. That's a great. What are you thinking, Giselle?
I was seeing a lot of Randy's pop up, and I was seeing a fair amount of the other 2. So it's really hard to say, and I'm sure it's going to be close.
Yeah.
As you've seen in round number 2, there are no ties. Since this is an 11th hour match, will all 3 advance to the round of elimination known as round number 2? Will they? Won't they? Could we lose someone tonight? We did lose someone in an 11th hour match a couple of weeks ago. It's not impossible.
It's not at all. Not at all. Oh.
In first place and moving on to round number 2 is waiting anxiously, lots of drum rolling.
Suspense is killing everyone across the nation. Let's do this. Who could it be?
It's so hard because they were all so good.
They were all amazing. Spoke from the heart, genuinely, and from the minds. And Randy's last topic. Whoa. Oh!
UFC Randy Couture is in first place tonight and definitely moving on to round number 2. We will see him again.
Woo! That is awesome. I mean, I was just talking about Randy. I mean, that last topic, I loved it. He talked about war. We got to stop killing each other. Hunger. We have to, people are still starving. We got to look at that.
And along with that goes access to clean water and potable water. And these 2 are actually very closely related.
Oh.
And tied for second place. We're aiming for Robert Shafer.
Hell yeah. All right.
Welcome to round number 2, Mr. Couture, Mr. Green, and Mr. Shafer. It does not eliminate Ahman tonight time. He was here for the entire round. He got through both topics. He said his piece, and you all voted in the comment section, and he tied Mr. Shafer. So we will see all 3 of these fine competitors in round number 2. They have one more chance to advance and make it further in this competition. I couldn't be more thrilled. Howard, how do you feel about this outcome?
Look, awesome. Because I think we saw each of the competitors tonight really just spoke from the heart, spoke their mind. There was no let's dial it in response. They all spoke from their beautiful experience. I mean, what again, just to be specific, what touched me was Robert Shafer talking about when he was on stage and his director screamed out, "Where's your father?" And he looked up, and that opened up his whole body. I mean, I imagine that was beautiful. And him sharing that with us. I mean, that's what, to me, the show's all about, sharing those beautiful moments. But so, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They all share these beautiful, specific memories. And it's, we can only benefit from. I mean, anything that stuck out for you tonight that really spoke to you?
Several, but I really like the way that Ahman set up his first topic in the order in which he set that up. Yes. Congrats to Randy, Ahman, and Robert. They will be appearing in this current second round. Maybe one of them will be involved in their second round match next Saturday. Whoa. Wait, okay. I need some comments into this. Can you imagine that, viewers? The engine. Like, what if we see one of them next week?
I mean, yeah, it's like no rest. He's just jumping right into the next game.
Right? 2 in a row. That must be incredibly difficult, rather taxing, but also, if anyone can do it, I think it's any of these 3. And yes, Julia, more talented humans in the tournament. That is true. More talented humans, more very incredible, creative, wonderful, giving humans in the tournament. And Howard, as Phil says,
the competition is getting tougher. Yeah. And we got to keep this in mind, right? They just got a first taste of the whole experience, right? We've seen it. Chad, yes, all 3 men definitely deserve to be in advance. Well done, gentlemen.
Yes.
I definitely resonate with that. We learn from each other, definitely.
We learned a lot tonight. Tonight has been, Allison, yes, tonight. We say that every week, but tonight has been one of my favorite nights. Absolutely. And Joe, agree as well. The competition is tough, but worth it. We learned a lot tonight, and we are going to learn even more next week when we find out which match is coming up and who some of the favorites are in round 2 that could win it all. Are you ready, Howard?
What time is it?
What time is it?
It's outro time. Let's do it. But what we have to keep always in mind is that even though it is outro time is approaching very quickly. That said, one of the things I wanted to finish saying was that, what we saw tonight again is a testament to what Avi's vision is all about, and what the collective energy of what you're doing, Giselle, behind the scenes, what Joe is doing, Miranda, Phil, Kelly White, Peaceful Pete, what we're all doing collectively. And, it's an amazing experience every Saturday night as a result.
Sure. Well, my favorite part is that this particular match really epitomized strangers leave as friends. And Mr. Couture and Mr. Green had worked with each other before on a film, but that was 20 years ago almost. And then at the end, Mr. Green is like, "Oh, I'm just gonna drop my digits in the private chat here so y'all all have them. So yeah, I'm gonna do that." Now, if that doesn't tell you what this entire tournament is all about, absolutely nothing will.
Avi says, "Thank you all." Giselle and Howard and this entire cast is beautiful, and so are all of you guys, the engine, the fans watching. Enjoy this outro, as at the end of this video, we will find out who is next. So, again, I will ask Giselle, what time is it?
It's outro time!
Outro time, baby! Ow!
Obsession's going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about?
It was part of my life, whether I wanted to act or not. I think I had some resentment, or I was just done with it. I was burnt out.
Can we go get ready?
Waited and got some what they wanted, but had to let go of a lot. And there are people who just keep coming close, and people who just seem to suffer loss after loss after loss. But most control, I believe, is an illusion.
But just once you're through it, you don't have to be punished. You don't have to punish yourself. You can come through it and be fine about it and share your experience.
And hearing Merle's story about having the visual boards up there, mine was never to make it in the NBA. Mine was to make it to help my mother, ease the pain from my mother.
It was so funny because he said, you know, we made a goal every year, and if she made it, great. We'd keep going. She'd keep competing. That's fine. We were pretty realistic. And then if she didn't, maybe we could quit. He was so excited about the thought that I would quit.
But to be able to perform and to be able to still be athletic, it feels good. I don't miss competing because I don't think I can compete at such a high level.
Because I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue how people were being paid and why they were being paid, and how you could set your own goals and set your own level of pay.
It was insane to go from Mid-South, where you had, say, 1,000 people or 1,200 people in an arena, or maybe even 5,000 in an arena, to go from that to WWF, and you've got 15,000 in every arena.
And particularly where I'm at now, and what I've been able to do and accomplish, and the lives that I feel like my art has touched, then you have to go back and say, well, that sadness was worth it.
So my father was a cryptographer, and I said, so Dad, did you get a piece of the message? Did you get the message about dropping the bomb? And he said, no, I think it came over in pieces.
So he goes, just do one for yourself, just one. So they had two cameras going.
And the line came, and we don't know what to get Millie and Jimmy for a wedding present. We didn't want a lot of shit here. And I went, okay. You know, candlesticks always make a nice gift, or find out where she's registered and get a place setting or a silverware pattern. Okay, let's get 2. You know, and it's really good.
But getting back to the original, what is the truth? Well, the important truth is what's right here, what's right there.
Every member of the rescue team had a tracking chip implanted in his arm. You think one of them might still be alive? Use the tracer in your watch to locate him.
Man's quest for the unknown, man's quest to control everything, will be man's downfall as we know it.
That's a very, very smart guy, very intelligent guy. And, you know, that's one of the things I'm talking about. He shouldn't have been in the NWO. From what, you know, my opinion, he should have been fighting against the NWO.
So reality, that it's not a way to escape it, but it may be a helpful way to maybe deal with it a little bit better. So I was at that determining period when all of a sudden out of the stands, this guy dropped behind him, grabbed him, spun him around, and had him cuffed in an instant.
There's so many all-pro people that, you know, that were playing in that game, you know, Raymond Berry and Pat Summerall, you know, Frank Gifford was on that team.
But nobody controls me, Jack. Nobody controls me. I'm the one that goes all over the world, and I beat people up.
I was right in the middle of it. And the thing that I picked that really stood out in my life and really made an impact on me in many, many ways was space travel. It's open, so I'm looking for players that'll fit into my system, that have the talent, but also, you know, I like to see how they interact with their teammates, with the referees.
Humility to not lie. I will be telling a story and instantly I exaggerate, which I believe is a lie. And I'll say, yeah, man, there was a couple thousand people there. And I will stop and I regroup, I pray about it, and I focus and I say, you know what? There wasn't 2,000 people there. There was about 150.
You know, it's like I caught myself, you know, the Change or Die show started, and I was really excited to do that. And I was really excited because it was a chance for me to really own up to my addiction and really do a show called Change or Die.
What did I do or actually critically think about to better myself? It's actually literally critical thinking and going back to college.
Ginobili falls down. Wade finds Odin. Crowd seems to get a little extra fired up.
In quickly.
It's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, you gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you.
You know what? Maybe one of the world's problems will get solved by listening to this show.
I'm gonna win this whole thing. Watch.
I know you are, Tom. I know you are.